Yo, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I was like open that mouth. Sure that she's talking and open that mouth. If it say something, we rubbing it out. And then there's something it out. And then it's got and it's part of this nothing.
And now from an undisclosed location, you are now tuned in to the Xander Effect with host Xander Dames.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Xander Effect. I'm your host, Xander Dames, alongside with my co-compatriot here, Mr. Jeremy Miller. And Jeremy, I can see that we both, came coordinated, as rivals already. This pretty much explains the rivalry between Jeremy and myself.
So let me say before we get going, I gotta give a little bit of props to the Bruins for backing into the NCAA tournament and getting into the play-in games, and then having a rather sloppy play-in win against Michigan State. But
you just had to go ahead and give us a jab, didn't you?
They did it. You guys made it into the first round of the NCAA tournament. So congrats.
Thanks, appreciate that. Where's USC?
6th ranked.
That's
didn't have to be, back their way in. They're the number 6 seed.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Anyway,
after spanking UCLA 2 or 3 times.
I was waiting for that one. I was waiting for you to go ahead and bring that one up. But
how often do I get to brag about USC basketball?
True. That's very true. You're right about that. We're always beating the crap out of every single like out of you and everybody else.
With UCLA's history there, I rarely ever get to brag about.
Very true. Very
USC
true.
having any domination here.
Very true. I'll give you. I will go ahead and give you that one. We have a lot of cool stuff going on for you guys today, including in entertainment news. Sharon Osbourne gets a lot of death threats. We'll talk a little bit about that. Also in sports, the question of whether or not Khabib Nurmagomedov is retired has officially been answered. We'll talk a little bit about that. In video game news, looks like Marvel's Avengers is set to have a lot of content coming our way this year in 2021. We'll talk a little bit about that. Plus, we have today on the show successful stylist, fashion stylist, celebrity stylist, podcaster, Ali Levine is going to be joining us here today. So that's going to be an awesome experience to chat with her a little bit about how she got started in the industry. So that's going to be a little bit later today. But Jeremy, it seems that you have, as we always do, we always have obscure news, and you have some obscure news for us today.
Yes, we do. We have a long-awaited return of one of our favorite characters. Mm-hmm. It is Florida Man.
Florida Man.
Florida Man is back.
Be a superhero.
It should, definitely. The most
big F.
The most trailer park superhero in the world.
Of course.
So we have naked Florida Man steals cop car.
Of course. Why wouldn't he?
A 20-year-old Florida man was reportedly running down I-10 completely naked on Thursday.
Oh, my God.
By the time police arrived at the scene, the man was lying in the road. The police car pulled up on the opposite side of the road, and when they arrived, the man got up and ran towards the car. They're not sure exactly how he commandeered the vehicle, but news footage shows that he then crashed the police trooper car into a tree in Jacksonville.
Wow. That doesn't surprise me a little bit.
Did over $10,000 damage to the car and is facing grand theft auto as well as multiple other charges.
Resisting arrest, evading arrest, endangering others. Jesus, the list could go on and on with that one. Willful destruction of government property.
Oh, yeah. $10,000 damage to a cop car? Oh, dude.
Yeah. Dude, seriously. Actually, yeah, I was about to say, does it really cost that much? It probably would cost more to go ahead and have design a cop car, I would think.
It all depends on what they wrecked on it,
Yeah.
what they hit. I mean, most of them are still standard model vehicles from whatever they're chosen from. It's just they have a few additions and stuff,
Yeah, the whole technical stuff, the whole like computer and cameras.
Well, heck, what people don't realize is, those old cruddy, Chevy, what was it, Cavaliers and things that
I thought that was the Crown Vic.
Crown Vic. That was one of the reasons
I just remember from
the league.
The league, yeah, the Crown Vic. Crown Vic
Peter
situation.
got the Crown Vic. But the reason they used those specific cars, and I don't know if it's true for the Crown Vic as well, but they used the Chevys because they could take the regular engine out and drop a Corvette engine in it.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what a lot of the highway patrols did, and a lot of the cops did, was they'd rip out the regular engine, and it was a perfect fit for a Corvette engine, and they'd drop Vet engines into these so that they were faster.
Nice. Well, I mean, that Florida man went up for a ride, that's for sure.
Yeah, he gave him an interesting afternoon.
Well, it's crazy.
And I hope it was worth it.
Well, $10,000 worth it, apparently. That was a $10,000 ride, and then some, apparently. But I mean, all this crazy stuff always happens in Florida for some reason.
It does. I don't know, man. It's
what
the humidity.
Are they drinking?
It's the humidity or something.
It's the water or something. I don't know what's going on. The freaking West Nile virus mosquitoes or something bites them or something. It's weird. Yeah, because I mean, I also read a story on TMZ actually, because right now it's spring break for a lot of college students, and a spring breaker actually was in the back seat of a Florida cop car, and apparently he was arrested for fighting. There was a fight or something like that, and the cops arrested him for fighting. Well, another spring breaker decided to open the door of the cruiser, and that kid, I swear, it was almost like a scene, like, you know how when you have a dog that's been sitting inside cooped up indoors the entire time, and you let the door open, he runs out, and it's like, that's what it looked like. As soon as the door opened, that kid was gone. He was like, he jetted out of there, still handcuffed, mind you. He kind of looked like a rooster or a hen coming out of the hen house and stuff with his wings backwards. It was hilarious. He was just like, whee, gone. And the thing is that, like, the only reason why the cops knew he was gone was because all the spring breakers were running with him. It was like a scene from Rocky. Mm-hmm. Everybody was cheering him on as he was running, and he was like gone. They found him, arrested. Obviously, he didn't get very far. He was in the beach. Where was he going to go? He didn't get very far. They rearrested him, and now he's facing more charges,
of course,
than the ones that he had. It's like, dude, seriously, why? Why did you go ahead and do that? You're facing more charges now.
Truthfully, though, think about it. I mean, I'm not saying that I would have bailed out of the car, but I've been in a few scrapes, and
you just look at the latch. You're like, Well, I wonder what would happen. I wonder how far I would get.
I'm just saying, if I happen to be in Florida enjoying a few drinks for spring break and partying, and all of a sudden I see some guy in handcuffs running his ass down the beach, I'm not even going to blink twice. I mean, I'm going to be like, oh yeah, it's Florida.
Yeah. You're like, sure. You just like,
yeah, it works.
Yeah, that's about right. It's almost like a car chase in LA.
Oh God, tell me, nobody even pays attention.
Yeah, you just see it go by. You're like, yeah. I wonder if he's gonna get away. That's about the only thing that runs through my head. I wonder how far he'll get. Like, will he make it to Mexico? Will he make it to Tijuana? No,
they never do.
They never do. They just can't seem to get away from the cops. They just can't get
can't outrun that eye in the sky, baby.
Dude, that ghetto bird. No. That's what they call him, the ghetto bird.
It can be done, but we won't talk about that.
Let's talk later. Let's plan that bank robbery later.
Oh, not a bank robbery. I had a fast car at one point. Let's just leave it at that.
Nice. That's a story for another time.
And not, let's wait till statute of limitations have run out.
We'll go with that. We got a lot of really cool stuff coming up next for you guys, including Sharon. We'll talk a little bit about Sharon Osbourne and her getting death threats after the comments that she has been accused of, and that's pretty much some serious stuff going on with her right now. But first, here is Shakira and Alejandro Sanz, Tortura, right here on Xander Effect.
Mía, guárdate la poesía, guárdate la alegría para ti. Dame, dámelo.
todos los días sean de sol. No pido que todos los viernes sean de fiesta. Y tampoco te pido que vuelvas rogando perdón si lloras con los ojos secos y hablando de ella. Ay, amor, me duele tanto que te fueras sin decir a dónde. Ay, amor, fue una tortura perderte.
Yo sé que no he sido un santo, pero lo puedo arreglar, amor.
No solo del pan vive el hombre y no de excusas vivo yo.
Solo de errores aprende y hoy sé que es tuyo mi corazón.
Mejor te guardas todo, es otro perro con ese guaso y nos decimos adiós.
Esto es otra vez, esto es otra vez. Esto es otra vez, esto es otra vez.
Te puedo pedir que el invierno perdone un rosal. Te puedo pedir a los olmos que entreguen peras. Te puedo pedirle lo eterno a un simple mortal y andar arrojando a los cerdos miles de perlas.
Ay, amor, me duele tanto que no creas más en mis promesas.
Ay, amor,
Es una tortura
perderte.
Yo sé que no he sido un santo, pero lo puedo arreglar, amor.
No solo de pan vive el hombre y no de excusas vivo yo.
Solo de errores aprende y hoy sé que es tuyo mi corazón.
Mejor te guardas todo, es otro perro con ese guaso y nos decimos adiós.
No te barajes, oye negrita, mira, no te rajes. De lunes a viernes tienes mi amor. Déjame sábado a mí que es mejor. Oye mi negra, no me castigues más porque de afuera sin ti no tengo más. Solo soy un arrepentido, soy como el ave que vuelve a su nido. Yo sé que no he sido un santo y es que no estoy hecho de cartón.
No solo de pan vive el hombre y no de excusas vivo yo.
Solo de errores aprende y hoy sé que es tuyo mi corazón.
Ay, 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 todo lo que he hecho por ti. Una tortura perderte, me duele tanto que si así sigo llorando, perdón. Ya no voy a llorar por ti.
That was Shakira and Alejandro Sanz, Tortura, right here on the Xander Effect. In entertainment news, looks like Sharon Osbourne is still getting more flack. And it's so crazy because this all began due to the fact that Sharon was in support of comments because of the news reporter that was in Good Morning Britain, and he, you know, because of that whole ordeal, she started off by basically supporting him, but then allegations started coming out saying that Holly Robinson Pete decided to come out and say that this isn't the first time that pretty much, you know, Sharon is supporting someone like that. I mean, she, you know, Sharon was supporting Piers Morgan for leaving Good Morning Britain after Piers Morgan is completely against Meghan Markle and everything. The interview with Oprah Winfrey, how she's pretty much accusing the royal family of so many things, and like Piers Morgan's just against her. But then Sharon Osbourne supports Piers Morgan. Then came Holly Robinson saying pretty much, I'm not surprised because, you know, accusing Sharon of being racist and so many other things. That, like, it just opened up a can of worms for Sharon Osbourne. And now it got so bad that they decided to suspend any more filming of The Talk for a while until things start, calming down a little bit, because as we all know, Sharon Osbourne is part of The Talk. So that's pretty much where they're at right now with that. However, it's gone from bad to worse with Sharon Osbourne, because see, Piers Morgan, he's across the pond. He's got more supporters across the pond than he would over here. Sharon's over here, though. And things are different here in the United States, and there's more support for Meghan Markle here, and there's more, especially now that Holly Robinson came out and said what she said. It's even worse. It's gotten so bad to the point that she's gotten death threats on social media. She's had to hire private security in order to feel safe. Now, the death threats are all over social media. There's one that says, quote, "I hope Sharon Osbourne gets hit by one of those one last wave of COVID and dies. F Sharon Osbourne, her husband, her mama, them ugly effing kids, and the family dog, and the bee that lives next door." Wow. She can go die in a fish grease fire. That's how crazy that was. That was very
rather eloquent for being
that was very descriptive. Another one goes and says, quote, "Sharon Osbourne talked to color people like she's on a plantation. Quote, "You better not cry, B, die, you racist effing lover." F lover. I don't know. That was a weird one. Another one says, quote, "You didn't utter any offensiveness, rudeness, or dispoliteness in any of your words. Your employer put that episode for you to deal with that timely topic. It's not you, but it's the management of your show, because that's the episode they put it for you to work on. And most importantly, you processed it very professionally." At least she got, and then somebody responded to that. That was a good thing. But the response was, "Die and go to hell." It's plain and simple. So at this point, it seems that she's hired private security. There's been paparazzi shots of guys in regular clothing, just standing outside guarding Sharon Osbourne's estate, and of course her and her family and everything. So yeah, it's not too good for her. And I mean, honestly, after all these allegations, I don't think she's going to be coming back to the View. I think she's pretty much done there, in my opinion. What do you think?
I'd have to agree with that. This all started, like you said, very innocently, in her, what came off as her supporting a friend. Mm-hmm. In some controversial statements he had made, okay, I can live with that. It's not a big deal. I mean, people are loyal to their friends, all the time. Mm-hmm. But now that more and more is coming out, no, it's never, ever, ever okay for, people to be sending death threats and all this other crap.
Very much true.
I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous for people to take it to that level. Whether she's racist or not is not up to me. I mean, there seem to be plenty of stories of her exhibiting, signs of racism, mm-hmm. But whether she is or not is not a judgment call that I can make. And to me, people, it doesn't matter if she is or isn't. She's a TV personality. I mean, as a person, as somebody who maybe have to deal with her, of course it matters. But mm-hmm. You're not talking about a politician who's creating law. You're not talking about somebody with any real influence. You're talking about a talking head, no different than any other person, no different than us sitting on this, just not quite as wide of a reach, mm-hmm. spouting off opinions. So,
but we do have a wide reach, though.
I'm not saying that, but I'm not saying that. The View, on the other hand,
has a wider reach.
A wider reach is
yeah.
my point.
Yeah.
Damn, don't get so defensive.
No, it's not. I'm not.
But to me, it's, people getting way too worked up. This is not a person with any real influence. Okay. I mean, yes, they have a platform to talk to lots of people. So do many, 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 many other people.
Sure.
Taking it to the level of wishing her kids dead and wishing her dead. And actually, I mean, there's
her dog and her neighbor dead.
And there's a big difference between sending, wish you were dead, you're an awful person, and actual death threats. There is a difference. I'm not saying she isn't receiving those as well, but from what they have actually published, none of those actually rise to the level of death threats.
True, but at the same, like you said, at the same time, we don't know exactly if they haven't really like posted the real death threats. These are just examples of what she's been dealing with.
I'm just pointing that out. I mean, there is a difference. I'm sure they have, more credible, threats.
Yeah. So much to the point that she hired security.
Well, that's what I mean. There wouldn't be much need for security if it was just a bunch of, hope you die, you're an awful person type stuff. That happens all the time. But, people, again, never.
Are crazy?
Yes, people are crazy. But I don't care if it's even if it was a politician, it's not okay to be sending death threats.
True.
But again, we're talking about a talking head, a TV personality, somebody who honestly in 10 years doesn't really matter. In 10 years is an afterthought of, oh, you remember that show? She was on that thing and her husband was that singer guy. It's not going to last. It doesn't have any real influence. So what the hell's everybody getting so freaked out about?
Well, I mean, they're bored.
I certainly wouldn't agree with her, behaving that way.
Of course not. Who would?
What does it matter in the long run, except in the interpersonal stuff that she has to deal with on a daily basis?
I mean, at this point, it would seem that, obviously the network is going to take action because of her words, because of everything she said, because of the accusations, personalities such as Holly Robinson Pete. I mean, she is very well known, very well loved, Holly Robinson. I mean, she started.
Holly was a part of The View at one point, wasn't she?
She was. That's the reason why the accusations came back, because apparently she was Sharon thought she was too ghetto, quote ghetto, to be to be on there, and those were the words that Sharon apparently used, and that's what Holly Robinson said, that she accused her of saying those words, and that's why she wanted her off The View. So that's. Those are comments, that pretty much are making Sharon look really bad right now. But yeah, no, you're right. There's no reason for anybody to go ahead and do death threats to this person. I mean, she's already getting a lot of flack. She's already probably going to get fired from The View. The network's not going to want that kind of backlash or that PR, that negative PR with them. So they're going to have to, make some action. Look what happened. Look what happened with Roseanne. Same thing with Roseanne, which we're going to get to a topic that has something to do with the show Connors here in a little bit. But bringing up Roseanne here, she went ahead. She was the creator of Roseanne. She was the creator of this entire show, and they fired her. After the comments that she made on Twitter, the racist comments she made on Twitter. I mean, there's just, I'm sorry, but when it's bad, it's bad. You got to get rid of them. Even
in this day and age, everything is visible and everything is known.
True.
You can't keep this crap hidden anymore. You just can't. Gone are the days of someone. Well, I mean, we're coming to the end. I won't say they're gone, but we're coming to the end, definitely, of the days where somebody could live a 40-year life in a career and be a racist prick and have no one know about it. Or, I mean, those days are just gone. It's gonna come out. It's gonna come out eventually, and people, they better get it together. I mean, everything is fair game. Everything that comes out of your mouth is being recorded almost every moment of every day.
Case in point.
Especially if you have any visibility in the entertainment industry or the media.
Yep.
So, I mean, these people, I just don't understand it. I mean, I really don't. I don't get treating people like an asshole and just thinking that's okay.
It boggles the mind, but I guess we're just going to have to go ahead and keep an eye on it and see what happens if Sharon gets let go. I'm sure she will, but we'll definitely go ahead and, if we're not on, go on our social media. You'll see the updates. I always have entertainment news breaking stories on my social media. And speaking of social media, I forgot, to also mention that the Xander Effect is now on YouTube. For those that don't know yet, we are on YouTube now. All of our episodes, from start to now are on YouTube. So make sure to check us out. Go ahead and take a look at our YouTube channel at the Xander Effect Podcast. You'll be able to see this guy's ugly mug. So you'll be able to see him. In other entertainment news, I got to talk about, and I texted you this yesterday, actually, because I stayed up until midnight Wednesday to see Zack Snyder's Justice League. And it was worth it. Long, because I was up from midnight until the movie finished. 4 hours later, 4 a.m, I was half asleep, but man, I got, in my opinion, and I posted this on my social media, in my opinion, it was well worth the 4 hours. It went into so much detail of the movie and each character that it made it worth it. It made more sense than Joss Whedon's version. And there was a lot of changes. And for folks, if you haven't seen it yet, spoiler alert, here it comes. There's a lot of characters that made the scene. For example, Deathstroke actually makes more of an appearance at the end of the original. I'm hitting myself with my microphone here. That's how excited I am about it. At the end of the original and the end credits of the original Justice League, or Joss Whedon's, I should say, the Joss Whedon version of Justice League, we see Lex Luthor on a yacht that contracts Deathstroke. But in that version, we see Lex Luthor say, seems like our heroes are making a group. Maybe we should make a group of our own, which is, of course, we all know it's the Legion. It's the Legion of Doom, right? Or the League of Doom or something. The Legion of Doom.
Legion of Doom.
The Legion.
I know, but when you hear that, you're thinking of the Road Warriors.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the Road Warriors. So that's what comes to mind.
LOD, baby.
LOD, baby. And so he pretty much goes into that. In Zack Snyder's version, they go deeper into it. They don't talk about creating the Legion of Doom. On the other hand, Lex Luthor talks about contracting Deathstroke to kill Batman, and he tells Deathstroke the secret identity of Batman. Lex Luthor knows who it is, and he's like, it's Bruce Wayne. So he tells him. Now, we would think that the movie would end there. It doesn't end there. It continues into a distant
4 hours. Of course it does.
Well, actually, it continues to about another 15-20 minutes before it ends. And what it is that it's a distant future where Bruce Wayne, he sees the premonition in Joss Whedon's version. He sees the premonition where he's wearing the jacket and everything. He has a shotgun and everything, and he's fighting against parademons because the parademons and Darkseid have taken over the Earth, and Superman is working for Darkseid. In this version, apparently it seems that Bruce Wayne is having another premonition, and he is accompanied by Deathstroke, is one of his allies. The Flash is older and he has a different suit. Cyborg is there with them, and also is Aquaman's girl, wife, or whatever. I forgot her. I can't remember her name. Eva, something. I don't remember her name, but she's there with them as well, carrying Aquaman's trident, because apparently in that version of the future, Aquaman is killed by Darkseid, and she's there to go ahead and avenge her husband's death. The other character...
Hey, don't say it. That's a whole nother thing.
Well, no. I know, right? Well, I said spoiler alert. The other character that makes an appearance is the Joker. And he's played by Jared Leto. So that's another really cool addition. I won't get into those details as to the interaction between the Joker and Batman, but let's just say it gets deep and dark, that interaction between the Joker and the Batman. But it would seem that Batman needs the Joker. He needs his craziness to fight a hero, apparently. So it's a much better version of Justice League. Let me tell you, Jeremy, you gotta watch it. I know I spoiled a lot of it for you, but there's a lot that I didn't include because we don't have that kind of time. I won't go into detail, but I know that you have ADD and you can't sit for 4 hours watching a movie. I would have to tell you and everybody else, take some time to watch it. I mean, obviously, you've seen the Joss Whedon version. Some parts are still in there of the Joss Whedon version, but it's different. The storyline is different. The direction they went is completely different. And of course, at the end of the credits, Zack Snyder dedicated this movie to his daughter, his adopted daughter, Auburn, who actually committed suicide during the filming of Justice League. That's the reason why Zack Snyder, we talked about this in the last episode, that I wasn't sure. I didn't want you to quote me on this, but yes, I went ahead and yes, I confirmed it that yes, that is the reason why Zack Snyder left set filming of Justice League was because his daughter had committed suicide during the filming of it, which is very tragic for him and his wife and the rest of the family. So he dedicated this version. I mean, I don't know him personally, but I would imagine that Zack Snyder probably felt that he owed it to her to finish this film. He owed it to her, to the fans, to everybody. Mainly, I believe he owed it to his daughter, Auburn, to go ahead and finish this film. So, I mean, it's an amazing film. Again, Jeremy, I would recommend for you to see it.
Maybe I'll have to give it a try. As I said, 4 hours is a little tough. I might have to take an intermission or split it up over a couple of days. But
and I don't mean to cut you, but as I mentioned before, and you already know this because I mentioned this before, Martian Manhunter does make a cameo, an appearance. I won't tell you who it is, but I will say this: this character has been in all three of these movies. And he was right under everybody's nose and nobody ever saw it. When I found out who it was, I was like, that's who it was? I'm like, holy crap, I didn't see that. That's all I'm going to say. It's a character that's been in all three. So you won't even expect it. So definitely check out Zack Snyder's Justice League. Worth it. It's on HBO Max right now. I mean, it's just on HBO Max. It's not going anywhere. It's not one of those movies that it gets cut off after 30 days or so. That is actually sticking right there. So definitely go ahead and watch Zack Snyder's Justice League. In other entertainment news, a man dies. Actually, a crew member dies on the set of The Conners. The Conners was pretty much wrapping up this season, the filming of this season, when one of the lighting technicians actually died, collapsed. They don't really go into details as to what exactly happened to this person. They do say that he was in his 50s or 60s, but apparently he collapsed, and first responders came to aid this person, and he was dead on scene. He apparently just died right there on the set. A rep for Warner Entertainment tells TMZ, quote, "With heavy hearts, we regret to confirm that a member of our technical crew suffered a fatal medical event today. He was a much-loved member of the Conners and Roseanne families for over 25 years. As we remember our beloved colleague, we ask that you respect the privacy of his family and loved ones as they begin their grieving process." So this is a tragic thing that happens. It's very rare, or at least it's not as publicized, but I've never really heard of crew members die. I mean, there was always that urban legend that one of the little people from The Wizard of Oz committed suicide on set. That was
not an urban legend. That's been confirmed.
It has been confirmed. Okay, so it has been confirmed. So things like this.
I have multiple friends who are little people who have worked in that community, and it's a pretty tight community in the entertainment industry because they tend to work together. They tend to look out for each other and help each other get jobs and stuff like that. So I've gotten a chance to talk to a lot of my friends who are little people, and I've heard a lot of the stories from the times on Wizard of Oz. And yeah, that one has been confirmed. There was one of the little people who had committed suicide on set.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, that's crazy that these types of things happen. But this one wasn't necessarily a suicide. This was actually something that happened to a person. And
it's a medical event.
Yeah, and I know, Jeremy, we've spoken before. Something similar happened to you on the set of Growing Pains when you were filming, correct?
Yes, we actually had one of our sound technicians who worked in the booth. He was one of the guys who came in on our filming days and was actually in the booth with the director running sound and doing everything else. And he actually, I believe, had a heart attack on one of our filming days. And we had a delay. Of course, they didn't let us know what was going on set, but we came to find out later that he had passed away.
Oh man, that's gotta be tough.
Yeah,
did you know him? Or?
Yeah, we all knew him pretty well. He's one of those guys. We knew his voice better than we knew his face because he was always talking to us over the speakers from the booth. But yeah, we all knew him. We knew his family.
Bless you.
As I've said, I mean, we were all really close on that set, so it was a hard loss, and it reminds me of John Ritter, when he really took a turn. He was on set that day. When he lost consciousness, he was on set that day.
10 things about dating my teenage daughter, something like that?
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember
10 simple rules. Yeah, my teenage daughter.
And, that was a huge loss and was very, very tragic. I believe that was Katie Seagal who was on that with him.
And Katie Cuoco. She was also in that too. That was pretty much her starting role before Big Bang Theory.
And, Katie has talked about it many times as just, it was incredibly traumatic. It was a loss that just left them very empty. And I can tell you as well, totally different scenario, but like, my friend Rebecca Schaefer. Rebecca was an actress who was on My Sister Sam.
I remember you told me.
With Pam Dauber. And they filmed next door to us. And we all finished filming on a Friday, and we all went home. And we came back on Monday and were told that she'd been murdered.
Yep, I remember.
And that was
tragic. Huge.
On another level, we had a office worker who was one of the assistants to our writers who worked in the office, who was the unfortunate victim of a domestic assault where she was burned alive.
Oh my God.
These crazy things happen. And again, these things happen in life. It's not just an entertainment industry thing. I mean, the guy we're talking about today passed away of a heart attack. It's normal. It happens.
Well, we don't know if he passed away of a heart attack. We just collapsed. We have no idea yet because nothing's been confirmed yet. As far as his medical condition or anything.
Those kinds of things do happen, and these tragedies happen every day in life. And when you're working on a set, you become a family most of the time. I've heard of sets that don't, but when you're together for a long period of time, that set tends to become a family, and everybody. So when this kind of thing happens, it's felt very deeply.
I could imagine. I mean, going back to John Ritter, I remember watching the episode probably like a couple of weeks after he had passed, because as the old saying goes, the show must go on. And that episode, you can tell Kaylee Cuoco, Katie Seagal, all the entire actors, all the actors were really showing emotion. That was their real emotion, crying, talking about him. I would say that it was therapeutic, but at the same time, it was also very like heart-wrenching to you have to keep going, even though this person that was our father, played the husband, played everything, and such a legend in the television industry. I mean, I was a huge John Ritter fan in Three's Company. I thought he was just great as Jack Tripper. It was just a funny, like, he's just a great character, a great actor. I've seen him do different roles as well. I've seen him on Felicity. I've seen him in It. You know, he was in It, the original It. So, I mean, he's just done so many different roles throughout his life, and you would have never imagined that he would go that quickly so young.
Again, he died of the exact same thing that Alan died of. You know, that it was that dissected aortic valve or whatever, aortic dissection. And, you know, as we've talked about before, unless you're lucky enough to have it happen while you're lying on an operating table, chances are pretty good that you're going to go quick. And I can't imagine the amount of...
Bless you.
Thank you. I can't imagine the amount of strength that it must have taken that cast to get through that episode and even that week of filming. I know how hard it was on us when we lost Alan, and that was 30 years almost after we had started filming.
Yeah.
I can't tell you what that would have been like to lose him on set while we were filming. I don't know how we would have been able to continue. I really don't.
That's something that, again, you know, it's tragic to lose anybody. I mean, in this case, it was a crew member, but still
It's a family member.
It's a family member. It's still somebody that was a part of the show. They definitely were part of the show. So, I mean, it's tough, but you know, I mean, the other thing about this is that we, you know, you look at it in the sense that, that basically they wrapped filming at this point, so they were pretty much done. But still, it still has to hurt a bit, you know, having a crew member die like that. So, you know, condolences go to that crew member and their family during this very difficult time. And hopefully they get through it as gracefully as best they can, you know, as best they can when you lose somebody like that. So, you know, that's that for that. It's tough, man. It's tough. I can't tell you how tough that is. I mean, I know about loss. I know about loss. So, I mean, I wouldn't even know what to do. Like if a family member or a fellow you know, actor or something like that were to pass away on me like that, that would just totally screw me up. I'm already screwed up as it is.
I was gonna say, it wouldn't be a long drive there for you.
No, not really. No. That would just, you know, and that would just, I'm already on edge as it is, you know. I mean, but then again, you know, it takes a person like you to go ahead and push me off the edge sometimes too. So
yeah, but you know, I might catch you.
Maybe. Or just there he goes.
I might just wave on the way down. Bye.
I hate you. I really hate you.
In the words of Dr. Cox, in my favorite Man Jumping Off a Cliff, no.
I was waiting for that. I really hate you. Coming up next, we have a wonderful guest here, Ali Levine. She's a celebrity stylist. Her and her husband were on the show Stripped, on Bravo Stripped, and she's also a successful podcaster. We'll talk a little bit with her about how she got her start in everything she's doing and what she's got coming up in the near future. But first, here is Tim McGraw's I Like It, right here on the Xander Effect.
Spent $48 last Daddy tried to teach me courtesy, but it never sank in till that girl got a hold of me. Now I'm holding umbrellas and opening up doors. I'm taking out the trash and I'm sweeping my floor. I'm crossing my fingers and counting every kiss, praying that it keeps going on like this. 'Cause I like it, I love it, I want some more of it. I try so hard, I can't rise above it. Don't know what it is about that little gal's loving, but I like it, I love it, I want some more of it. Gotta wash my truck and dress up, then pick her up to watch TV. And she sits down on the sofa, she'll move a little closer, she can't get enough of me. And I like it, I love it, I want some more of it. I try so hard, I can't rise above it. Don't know what it is about that little gal's loving, but I like it, I love it, I want some more of it. Come on, baby, you know what I like. Yeah, I like that. Hey, don't get turned out the lights.
Hey, what's up, you guys? This is Roxanne Luciano, and you are listening to the Xander Effect.
Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I've been around for a long, long year. Stole many a man's soul of faith. I was around when Jesus Christ had his moment of doubt and pain. Made damn sure the pilot washed his hands and sealed his face. Pleased to meet you, hope you guessed my name. But what's puzzling you
time, it's your favorite guest, Du Brown.
Hey guys, this is Ian Jerry.
Hey, this is Annalise Hoveda.
Hey yo, this is Nightmare from Dirty Machine.
Hi, this is Cambry Loveseed.
Hey, this is Steph Lee.
And you're listening.
And you're listening.
And you're listening.
And you're listening.
And you're listening to the Xander Effect.
Tripping, you stay up on my mind. The reason that my heart beats if you leave off that line. We got such a connection, just let the stars align. Baby, make a wish and close your eyes. I don't wanna miss this, no. I don't wanna let this go. Something I just wanna know. Tell me what you're wishing for. You pull up the whip, it's for me. You take me on trips to Dubai, but that don't compare to the feelings that you got me feeling.
That was Amanda Holly's Get It Boy right here on the Xander Effect. And joining us right now on the Xander Effect is the lovely Ali Levine. She is a celebrity stylist. She's a podcaster, a successful podcaster at that. A mompreneur is from what I've been told and I understand and I know. Ali, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Good. You know, just enjoying, starting to become better days here in California, in Southern California. The weather's starting to get a little bit better. So, hanging in there, out, whatever.
Fresh air. It's nice out, right? It feels good. Yeah. It's Friday. So it's like, yay, it's the weekend.
It's Friday. So, we're having fun with that. And this weather must be a little bit different for you because you're not originally from California. You're from the East Coast. You're from New York, right?
I'm originally from New York. I moved out here. Feels like, so long ago. It's like over a decade ago now. But I feel like it's funny. I feel like now my husband and I joke like we're now like thin-blooded because we'll go back to the East Coast and we're like, ooh, it's cold, isn't it? Or like when it's cold in California, like we've been having like colder evenings and like, and it's like, ooh, it's like chilly, like you feel it. And I'm like, wow, I would have never said that years ago when I was in New York. I used to be out in like, -2-degree weather and was like, oh, this is cold. So yeah, it's definitely been an adjustment. And I feel like my body has now adjusted so much so that it's like terrible when I go back.
Yeah, Jeremy knows a little bit about that.
I do. My stepfather is from Wales, and when he came over here, he would be walking around in shorts and a t-shirt in the weather we've been having lately, which is like 40-degree weather.
Wow.
It didn't even affect him. Now, I mean, within a couple of years, his blood had thinned, and
it happens so fast.
It does happen.
Crazy. Yeah.
So he's a California guy now. He needs a coat when he goes out. And
and then us California boys, we get crap for it from East Coasters saying, this isn't cold, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, dude, we were born and raised in tropical weather. We're not used to it being any colder
you're
than it is.
used to the sun. Yeah. So when the sun disappears, you're sad. I get it.
Exactly.
And whereas like East Coast, we're definitely used to like cold. And if the sun's not out, it's like, oh, okay, it's just another day. But when the sun comes out, you're like, oh my gosh. But in California, it's like you're used to the sun. And then like when it goes away, you're like, oh, it's really, it's not nice right now.
It's all dun dun dun, like some craziness like that.
I gotta say though, there's something special about New York when it rains. There is. There's something very special
rains
about
and snows. I agree.
Oh,
yeah, for sure.
I was very lucky last time I was in New York before the pandemic. It snowed in between me going to bed. Went to sleep, no snow, and I was staying right across from Central Park. So I woke up to Central Park just covered in pristine, untouched snow, and it was one of the most beautiful sights I've gotten to see.
Wow, that's amazing. How cool.
But
it was pretty awesome.
I can guarantee that Jeremy doesn't want to hear anything about snow for a long while. He recently got he actually recently got stuck in Louisiana during that snow storm that was going around that time this year. He was actually sending me pictures and videos of what the snow was like, and it was almost like a cry for help. I felt sorry for Jeremy. I was like, it's okay. He couldn't get
It was just very surreal being in the South and experiencing weather I've never seen anywhere outside of the Northeast.
That was nuts. But I mean, Ali, you come from the East Coast. You started your career out there, right? You started working at Target, correct?
Yeah, so super like backdating me now. When I first was in college, I finished my degree and I got an executive position with Target, and I opened one of their flagship stores in New York. And I basically was in charge of, executive of soft lines. So everything in clothing, accessories, and in that, entire realm, you name it, I was in charge of. I think it was like 12 or 13 departments. And then I helped also open the actual store, which then I also was part of like the actual process of the entire logistics, management, hard lines, planograms, like everything to do with the store. That was my first like real job in the world. And I had interned for them the summer before. And so then I had been offered an opportunity to work for them. And then after doing that for about almost 2.5 years, I realized I love Target, as I call it. But I wasn't feeling the retail situation. I was 21, 22 years old. I was a lot younger, and I wanted to party and have fun and enjoy my 20s. And they wanted me to work 80, 90-hour weeks. And I was exhausted because I was working those hours and then trying to have fun. And it was a lot. So I started looking into what are other things I could do. I always wanted to get into design. So I asked Target about that, and they were like, yeah, we can send you to Minnesota. Speaking of cold.
Minnesota. Minnesota.
Exactly. They were like, we need design help there. You could get in a position there. That would be great. And I was like, oh, it's really cold there.
Colder than here.
Right. And I mean, I'm in New York, obviously, at the time. And they were like, well, why don't you go out there and see? So I flew out. Long story short, I like did a meeting. I met them and everything. I loved it. Like I love the Target corporate office, but Minnesota, between the cold, how small it was, like it just wasn't for me, especially coming from New York. So I was just like, okay, no. So then I left Target. I started applying for other jobs in the city, in New York, and I started looking for design jobs. So I landed my first job with a company called Fragments, which was a private label jewelry company. And I did design and production with them and was an assistant to all the projects they had going on. And then fast forward was at Coach and Lacoste and Talbot's and all these different places. And then the stock market crashed. Yeah, that was wild.
That was a wonderful time for everybody.
It was wild, like wild. I just remember like finally feeling like I found like my niche and like myself in some way, shape or form. And everything was just like gone in a day. And it was like, oh, get on unemployment, like, because like you're moving home with your parents. Yeah. Like, it was just like, it was so intense. And me being someone who's always loved to work, it was really devastating for me to like, I know for so many others too, but for me, I just remember personally, it was like, oh my gosh, like, what am I going to do? Like, I love working. This is like a huge part of my purpose. Like, how am I going to like, start over? So that was kind of what led me into the world we're in, now with the entertainment industry. I, had been laid off and I was looking for other design jobs and they really weren't existing. And I was doing like little, like, odd jobs in design here and there, wherever I could, just to make money and get experience, but nothing was sticking where I could get like hired for a full-time position. Mm-hmm. So I started asking around. Styling wasn't really a thing. The term wasn't coined. Rachel Zoe wasn't known yet. Like it was really very much still like new, dating myself. And I realized I'm saying that out loud. And so it was like, okay.
No, don't worry. We'll ignore that part. We'll go ahead and get past that.
Thank you. Perfect. Edit that out.
Right.
But it was like, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know like where to go from there. And I started asking around. Luckily, I had some different friends and family that were in the entertainment business. And I was like, hey, can you get me an interview or an introduction or something where I can just start to like see if this is something I even want to explore? And they were like, yeah, we can introduce you to some people. And so I had a couple different interviews and was introduced. And my big interview that I sat down with was Oliver Stone's team, and meeting Oliver Stone and his whole team of like, producers and supervisors. And I sat down with them and I remember sitting down, I was like so nervous to sit with them. And I'm at a, coffee shop at, Starbucks in New York City on 33rd. And I was sitting with them and they're like, okay, look, this has nothing to do with fashion or costume or anything that's on your resume. This is literally like donuts, coffee, breaking down scripts, like getting them cut for us and getting all that done. And like, that's it. Like it literally is just simple tasks.
Go for stuff.
Yeah. And they spelled it out. I mean, they were like, we literally need someone to be our bitch. Like we need someone.
Wow.
I know, right? And here I am sitting there and I'm like, okay, I just came from like the design world. And like, I love every single thing I'm creating, handbag wise, accessories, jewelry. And like, oh, I'm going to do donuts and coffee. And, it was like, whoa, and for like really small pay as a production assistant. And
it's like a rude awakening.
Very.
A very rude awakening.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, but I had no other options. Like there were no other jobs. I didn't want to sit on unemployment. I'm just not that person. I love to work. I love to continue to figure out ways to, create money and opportunities for myself. And so I was just like, no, I need something. Like this is in front of me. I got to go for it. So I said yes. And that was my first movie and my real like start into the industry. I was there production assistant, running around, PA, doing all the things that they needed. And I remember one time it was like a 4:30 a.m. run, right when Starbucks opens and, back in the day of New York City. And it was like, hey, we need like this many coffees. We're doing an early emergency meeting to go over something and go get this and go get that. And I'm, like half asleep, rolling out of bed, at like 3:30 a.m. trying to get myself together to get there, to get to Starbucks. And I remember I got to the set and I brought them their coffees and one of the coffees was wrong. And I remember like to this day, it's like ingrained in me because I remember them like looking at me like something like had really bad habit. And I'm just kind of sitting there like, what did I do? Like, I don't understand. And they're like, oh, this one has whip, with cream. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, okay. And they're like, well, we didn't ask for that. And I'm like, oh, it's like, they're like, okay, you have to go back and exchange it. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I look at them like, are you going to give me money to like go and, exchange it? And they were like, oh, no, this is your mistake. Like, you have to go figure it out. And I was like, oh.
Wow. Okay,
right?
then.
I know.
I'm getting paid peanuts, and on top of that, you need me to.
I'm getting nervous. I'm twirling my hair. I still from that day.
It's funny. It's funny you say that because you see it on television shows. You see them joke about the behind the scenes of a production. They're like, "This isn't what I ordered. Go take it back. I don't care." And blah, blah. You're actually describing that actually does happen. That's real. That really does happen. And Jeremy's shaking his head right now.
Oh yeah.
Because he was on the show Growing Pains, as you may know. He played Little Ben Seaver on Growing Pains.
Yeah.
So he was very demanding as well. He didn't like fruit.
Get out of here. I didn't turn into a diva till later. I was,
right.
8 on the show.
You didn't turn a diva until you got on the Xander Effect. So yeah, that's when you turn into a diva.
It's just with you. But no, it does happen. We had a more I was very blessed. We had a great set. We didn't have a lot of people who treated the PAs and the assistants like dirt. They didn't, our people treated people really, really nicely. Yeah. So I didn't see a lot of it on our show, but I did hear a lot of the stories, and you would see it in other shows, other sets I went to, friends' shows that I would visit. So I know you went through, you earned your bones, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny, they really weren't like, I definitely also experienced that on a lot of other projects, especially styling projects, because that's a whole nother world. But it was funny. It was more for them, after I came back and exchanged it. So I went to the Starbucks. I literally like cried to like the front desk. This is wrong, and I need it. And they were like, okay, it's okay. Like, you don't have to pay for it. Like, we'll handle it for you. So they didn't charge me, and they fixed it. And I had a whole sob story for them. But I remember when I came back and I gave it to them, and they, said like, thank you. And it's not later on that day, they explained to me it was about accountability, and it was about, the fact that I owned it and I went and handled it, and I didn't like call them and try to, how can you help me? How can you fix this? Oh, you hurt my feelings. I just very much like stepped into it, and we're like, no, this is my job. This is what I have to do. And like, they didn't see me, of course, crying at the Starbucks, but
never let them see you cry.
Right, never. But it was like, it was a good lesson for me. And as much as like, I definitely have also dealt with like the super nasty also on set. With that experience, it was more just kind of like holding me accountable, having me learn to be able to like, because I took that with me through my entire career and then some, you know what I mean? Like, you just remember, like, pay attention to detail. If you mess up, even if it's not necessarily your mistake, like, you own it, because it's still like your responsibility in that position. And don't pass it off on, someone else and blame someone else. It's like, it's yours to own, and then you move forward, and I noticed I was respected more for that. And I think that because I like really stepped into the role, even though it was just coffee and donuts, like Oliver Stone, his team really respected me as a PA. And, they asked me as I went along in my, position with them, like, what do you want to be doing? Because we know you don't want to be doing this. And I was like, well, I studied fashion and I wanted to explore costume. And so after quite a few months of working just as a PA for them, they offered me to move over to the costume department. And that was how I really got my start in costume. Was I started working for Ellen Marajnik and her team, and running around for them. I was still a PA. I was still doing everybody's bitch work, but I got to do it in the costume department and run around and do returns. And you got your foot in the door at this point now. So now it's Ali that doesn't want cream in her coffee. I wish.
Now it's Ali Levine saying, hello. No cream.
I'm actually not a coffee drinker. I'd much prefer tea.
Okay, fine. No cream in the tea. How about that? God, you're already picky. This is what I'm talking about. So you got your foot in the door. So you really got your foot in the door. At just that one little experience, that one little lesson showed them that she can handle herself here and she can be a team player.
Yeah, and I think, I worked really hard for all of them, and I met mentors on, that set who I still I'm friends with to this day and talk to and look to for advice. And I think I really not only was humble, of course, but I just really wanted to learn. And I really tapped into that and asked questions about while still getting my work done, and showed up at being the first one there in the morning, no matter what, and was the last one to leave always. And that was hard because there were days where it was literally 5 in the morning to 11 o'clock at night. There were late days and nights. But and we all know this, but a lot of people don't realize that. And I think because I put in the time, I put in, the energy, the work ethic, all of those things, I did get respect, and it did give me my start. I mean, even when the movie was, wrapping and we were working on I was helping them work on the credits and get everything together for the movie. And I turned to Oliver Stone and his team and I said, I would like my own credit. And I remember them looking at me like I was a little crazy.
You have balls to go ahead and ask for that. Wow.
I had worked for almost 7 months really hard. And
you
I
had
felt
lady balls for that one, let me tell you. To go ahead and ask to even ask. That wasn't a demand. That was a request to even request that.
Just asking. Look, I was taught by my dad, you always ask, because otherwise you never know. You can't expect someone's going to give you a raise. You can't expect someone's going to hand you an opportunity. You have to be willing to ask and put yourself out there. It's very vulnerable. So I always took that with me too. And so I asked, I said, I'm curious, what is it take to receive a credit on this movie? Because I would love to receive a credit, because this was my first big project and I really want to have that, on my resume. And I remember their faces when I said it. But they asked me a few weeks later before we wrapped, they pulled me into the office and they said, we will give you a credit. How would you like your name to be? And I got my first credit on
Wow.
Wall Street Money Never Sleeps. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Wow. Oh, so that was the show. That was the movie that you were in, that one. That was a pretty good movie too.
Oh, it was so good.
With
Yeah.
I remember
Justin and I went to the theater, when we were dating and we just moved to LA, and we went and saw it, and it was it took a picture of me and standing by the screen. It was it was a whole big deal, to have my first credit, on a major movie. And it really set the tone for me to get my first, step into the industry and then network and connect. And then, before I knew it, I was working on, as a PA for 30 Rock and jumping around, on other movies in New York. And then I went out to Atlanta to work on Big Mama's House. And that's really what changed it all for me, because the team was from Los Angeles and they asked me what I was doing in New York. And so long story short, I basically said, well, I'm figuring out what this costume world is about. I'm trying to figure out the fashion side of this and what I want to do. And they were like, well, you want more of the styling world, and that's in LA. And I had only known Rachel Zoe was now starting to come about. And I knew a little bit about the styling, but I still didn't really know. And they were, willing to mentor me and said, hey, we'll help you get your start. So
that's weird though. That's weird though. And I don't mean to cut you here, but I thought New York was the fashion capital of the world, not LA.
It's funny. Everyone says this. So I agree with you 100%, but I think New York is more of the editorial and the kind of corporate-esque, more in a box lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Because if you notice, even obviously pre-pandemic, there weren't as many red carpets in New York ever. There weren't, I mean, maybe for huge projects, a huge screening, but overall, the everyday, ever trending, constantly changing lifestyle has been Los Angeles. The red carpets are here because of Hollywood. So you see, more projects pop up in that sense. Movies almost were out of New York. Actually, by the time I was working in Atlanta, it was really starting to shift between, taxes and everything had changed. It was really starting to shift and there weren't as many projects. So it was going more to Atlanta and other states and then California. So it was a different time, obviously, almost 12 plus years ago now. But, it's funny you say that, because a lot of people say that, and I agree. New York is definitely the capital, and I think with design and production and all the things I was doing, in those elements was very much New York. But I do think that the red carpet and some of the other more trending is Los Angeles. So yeah, and it was honestly, I didn't even realize that until I moved out here, and then experienced it myself and saw how also too there's always an event, obviously pre-pandemic, always an event in LA. Like there was always something happening, even if it was like the smallest little whatever red carpet. Like everyone's getting ready, everyone's getting themselves together. They need someone this, that. So it was just a lot more opportunity than what New York really was presenting. And there weren't as many movies happening. And I had worked on a few TV shows and everything. But when I went to Atlanta with Big Mama's House, like that's when I started really meeting all these people from LA that were on the show. And they all were like, you should try out Los Angeles. So that's how I wound up here. They gave me my first opportunity to come out to LA to work with them and basically dedicate like a year and a half of my life working for them on their projects in order to get myself established and set up. And that's kind of, long story how I got here.
Well, and were you said you were dating your then boyfriend, now husband?
Yes.
So, and he came with you, he completely like supported you, the move and everything, and he followed you, or did he have...
Me.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a keeper. He followed me.
I would say so.
He followed me. He was working. We met, in New York, actually, at my apartment in Hoboken, New Jersey, right outside of the city. And we met through a mutual friend, and we had started dating. And then I went to Atlanta to work on my project. So he was visiting me. He had come out to Atlanta a few times to stay with me and see me. And then I told him that they had offered me to go to LA, and I wanted to take the opportunity to go. And he was working a bunch of different jobs in New York and wasn't 100% happy with what he was doing, but he was just, making money and working.
Was he in the industry too? Is he in the industry as well?
Now he is. He was not. When we met, he was not. He was doing more like sales and marketing and that kind of thing, and just different, different jobs, different all over the place. He's actually a really good golfer. He's like better than scratch. And
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
When we first started dating, I walked the Publix in New York with him when he won one of the championships. Yeah. So that was my dedication to him. I walked the entire thing in my heels.
It's a bold statement.
In your heels. That's love.
Wow.
So I guess I warranted him following me. No, I'm kidding. So I told him, I was like, I want to go to LA. And he had never been to California before. I have some family out here. I have some friends. So I had been out a few times, over the years. But he had never been. And he was like, okay, I'll go with you. And I remember his mom's phone call to me. She was like, well, my only son is moving across the country. And I was like, sorry, and she's like, well, I'm happy for him. He loves you and he wants to start a life with you, but he's never been there. And I was like, yeah, I know, so it was kind of wild, but hey, here we are over a decade later with two, little girls and have figured life out. And it's wild because when we first came out here, we said, oh, we'll do a year or two just to kind of experience it and get my, feet in the door and get
sounds about right.
And now here we are. I would have never thought. So it's interesting, but yeah, no. And that's, over time, obviously working for them. And then once I started really getting into the styling in LA, I realized because I'd done more movies, all these stylists weren't willing to hire me as assistants because it wasn't the same field, even though I still had some of the same skills. And they were like, well, no, we need styling work on your resume. So I had to start all over again. And I had to start interning for people and assisting and just doing all these odd jobs just to get experience while kind of working on the costume stuff to make money and be in the union, because I'd gotten in the union at that point. And I remember when my husband was we were just getting engaged, I think at this point. He wanted to kill me because I turned to him and I said, the costume's not fulfilling me. And he's like, what?
Like, oh, hell. It's like, oh, man, here we go again with this.
Right, exactly. And it was like, I just moved here, I was like, well, I want to do the styling, but again, I didn't have the experience. So I started, reaching out to all these different people and asking to get internships and just to work for free, just to get experience. So I continued doing some of the costume just to make money and be on set. But then on the weekends, I was doing the assistant work. And then eventually I had to make the choice to kind of take a leap of faith and step away from doing costume because I was getting asked to do a lot of assistant work and interning in the styling world. And they needed me all day, all night on every project. And I couldn't be, on another set. So I had to take a leap of faith, and I started interning. And then, I was lucky that I did well with interning quickly, and I moved up into an assistant and started getting paid by different stylists. But it was a hard shift because it was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go from, I finally got in the union and I got all this, opportunity in costume. And now I'm going to start over and move over into styling. But that was really how, for me, how I started getting my start. And I started being mentored by different stylists. And I worked with like B. Ackerland and Luke Story and Rena Lupadora from Kanye West Throne Tour and Emma Stone Stylist and all these like amazing people, Monica Rose when she was Kardashian stylist, and all these people who, were huge in the game. But, I didn't get paid, but I got to work for them to get experience and get to put their name on my resume that I got experience from them. And then eventually, after doing so much assistant work, then I started getting asked to style, the D-listers of Hollywood and saying like, hey, I don't have a budget, but do you want to style them and get them ready? And it was like, oh my gosh, my own client, And so that was when I really started working on people. And then as we know in Hollywood, different projects can change and people can get big projects. And all of a sudden people I was working with were getting, big projects and getting opportunities that they didn't expect to get. And all of a sudden I'm now the stylist associated to them and, a few big people and opportunities. And my first, big opportunity was in New York Times. I was featured on page 6 for business and fashion, and I would say like that really helped move the trajectory of my career. And before I knew it, Ali Levine Design was born, and I was styling full time, and I was getting my own clients.
And that column, was that the column that gave you the moniker the It Girl now?
That was Neluda magazine. They did that shortly after New York Times, which was also a huge moment for me because to be called the It Girl in Los Angeles,
the styling world.
Yeah, it was a big deal. Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. So I mean, basically, you went from Target to LA. That's a hell of a move.
Target to LA, yeah.
Target to LA. There you go. That could be that. Hey, that could be your new saying right there. From
my new little like the Housewives like tagline. Target to LA.
Exactly. There you go. You can start your own reality show. And speaking of reality shows, you were on Bravo's Stripped. How did that happen? Like it was you and your husband, because you just said your husband wasn't in this industry. I mean, was that his first real, like you pulling him into the industry was going on Bravo's Stripped?
Well, as far as his own like persona and himself being on camera, yes. He ended up getting into the production accounting industry after I worked on, back when I was doing costume and shopping, I worked on Happily Divorced with Fran Drescher's team. And when I was working on that, they were looking for an assistant to help them. And Justin was just doing odd jobs in LA when we had first moved out just to like make money and figure it out. And so I threw his resume in the ring and I said, hey, my boyfriend needs a job, and they were like, okay, great. And they met him and they loved him. And so it was wild because he didn't have any of that experience, but he worked hard and learned and was trained. And then he went on location and we were apart for like 6 months while he was in New Mexico working on another show and started getting a lot of his own opportunities, and then came back to LA. And now he's a head director of his company in production accounting.
Wow, that's crazy. So how did this whole thing happen with Bravo Stripped? How did you get involved in that?
Honestly, I get like nervous talking about it. It was wild. It's like it was such a wild opportunity. So obviously, for those that like know me or whatever, don't know me, I, been styling for a long time. And because I was around the Bravo and E family, I had been up for other opportunities in more of the fashion side of, the reality world. And, sadly, they didn't get greenlit, but Strip did. And when it got greenlit, they reached out to me and they said, oh, we're doing this show. And one of my friends was helping cast and produce it. And she was like, we think you'd be a great fit. And I was like, this has nothing to do with fashion. And they were like, yeah, but it's like, everything gets taken away from you. And, you're a celebrity stylist and you're always in the public eye and you have so much fashion around you. Like, it'd be really fun to have everything taken away from you and like watch you lose your shit. This is what I was told.
Oh, God bless the reality world.
Right? I know.
I mean, when you said that, the thing that came to mind was, okay, round 3 of going through this crap again.
I was just like,
starting from bottom again, round 3. Let's go.
Pretty much, right? I know. I was like, oh my goodness.
Only this time it's being filmed while you're going through
right there, right in the open. Just there it is. It was, and by the way, like they didn't tell us till like after a little bit that we were going to be naked. It was very much like everything's going to be taken away from you and you're going to be vulnerable and figure out what that means. But like, it wasn't until like later that it was like, oh, we're testing the idea of maybe having you wear like, like flesh colored clothing to make it look like you're naked, or like, oh, maybe we'll have you just do underwear. Like it was like this back and forth. Like I'm getting nervous.
No. You gotta hate this. You gotta love the Zoom for this. Ali, I think we lost her there for a second. Right when we get into the good stuff.
But it was like,
this is definitely this is unfortunately something that's going to be the challenges of Zoom. There we go. You're back. Sorry about that.
No worries.
We got you back. So you were being nervous. So you got nervous. What happened?
So, well, that was fun phone calls to my family, my husband's family. Hey, we're going to be on the show. We're going to be naked. They thought it was a joke. They were like, haha, is this April Fool's, but not in April? We're like, no.
Not in April.
It was like,
nice.
Yeah. So basically, first off, they approached me and they wanted to just have me. And then they came over for casting and they met my husband, Justin. Everybody loves Justin because Justin just doesn't give a shit. Like he's like zero fucks given. Like he is who he is. You like him or you don't. He is just who he is. Mm. And so they loved his sarcasm.
Classic New Yorker.
Right? Exactly. Completely. And so, they loved that he was like that. They like literally said to the team, they were like, he's like anti-Bravo, which is hilarious, like because he's going to be on this show. And so they were like, you guys should do it together. And I was like, I don't even know if I want to do this. And, Justin was like, I think it'd actually be good for you. Like, you are so heavily inundated in your fashion and your styling and you're not really in touch with the real world. And so he was like, it'd be good for you to do this. And I was like, oh, gee, thanks, babe, And so that was kind of how it happened. He said he was going to do it with me and sign the paperwork and, hey, we're going to do this show. And when we first, did it, to be honest, it was like, even during filming, I kept asking like, oh, when can I get like my like makeup back? When can I get myself together? And they were like, no, like this is like, you're not getting it back. Like this, you'll see it after when you ask for it back. This is 21 days of everything taken away from you. And like, what do you learn? What do you experience? Like, this is not like a housewife show. This is not like the Vanderpump Rules that you style. Like this is a full-blown like reality documentary. Like you're not getting shit back, And it was like a major reality check for me, no pun intended, but I was just like, but I'm on these sets all the time, like dressing people, like even when something happens, like they get to cut and do this and that, and they were like, no, like there is no cutting. This is your life. Like you're going to live this and experience it and then, go from there. And it was like,
did it give you like grade school flashbacks? You will receive that at the end of the semester. Okay.
Exactly. I was like,
back into the end of the semester.
Like what just happened? What did I just sign up for? Like, I mean,
what did I do? Oh no, we're losing her again.
I remember getting my like exactly what did I do? Like I'm like, can I call my publicist? And they were like, no. And I'm like, can you call my publicist? Like, you don't have a phone. Like, do you not understand? Your phone's been taken away. Like, you don't have a phone. I'm like, I don't care. Can you use your phone?
It's like, can I carry your pigeon or something? Can I do smokes or something? What the hell?
You send smoke signals, anything?
Oh wow, that must have been crazy. And when they actually started filming, how was that like?
It was really intense, to be honest. It was hard. I had a lot of breakdowns in the beginning because, well, first off, like, being naked in period is obviously not comfortable.
So you were actually naked then?
Yeah. I mean, wow. Of course, blurred for national television.
Yeah.
But like, the producers, I mean, they're filming you, so you're naked.
And you got a bunch of people, like crews, everybody looking at you while you're naked.
Yeah. And I mean, wow. Of course, they were super, like, they were phenomenal. Like, they kept looking away. Like, they were trying to keep us comfortable. Like, they were uncomfortable. Like, they were filming people naked. You know what I mean? But at the same time, they have to do their job and, like, make sure everything lines up and pay attention and all that, So it was very uncomfortable. I remember, like, day 0, which was obviously the first day. And they called it day 0 because you weren't allowed to get anything back that day. You had to, like, sleep on the floor with, like, literally nothing. We slept on our hardwood floor. It was awful. You get three things to start the show. They give you so when you strip down, take everything off, put everything in the box they give you, and then they give you a box in return. And the box has toilet paper, rations, like the MREs, military yuck, food, no offense, and then water. And that's it. That's what you start with. And then every day you get asked, what would you like back? And you pick one item each day to get back. So the first night we're sleeping on this hardwood floor and we're cold and sticky at the same time, and it's uncomfortable, and we're trying to like lay on top of each other and lay on the floor. I mean, it was awful.
Sounds like a video game. Sounds like a video game that you have to tier up to level up to go ahead and get to the next level and get more items back.
So true. So true. Yeah.
Sounds like.
Gosh, it was so crazy. And so then like day one, I got back a dress because I couldn't deal with being like naked. I was like, this is so uncomfortable. I'm so like not like able to be like this. I was taking like the tarp off the floor they were using for filming and putting it over me. And they kept telling me, you can't do that. And I'm like, but it's here. And they're like, yeah, but you can't do that because on camera, like you can't have the tarp on you. And I was like, okay, well in between filming, like I'm putting this on me. I kept fighting them because I didn't want to just naked. I was having a really hard time. Whereas my husband embraced it. He was just like, here we are. Like he was just cool. He didn't care. Like he was messing with them. They had the boom mic and he was like following them around. And like, you know, I was like, oh my gosh. But I was like hiding in a corner. Like I was like,
I love your husband already. Seriously.
Yeah, sounds awesome. He sounds really awesome.
Everybody loves him. He just doesn't care. You know, he's like, here I am. This is take me or leave me. This is who I am. Gotta love him.
Were there any cold days or nights or anything? I mean, could you at least cover yourself with something that, you know, and you would have to like sleep in the cold?
So we were sleeping on our floor. So it was cold in the sense you didn't have a blanket, but then it was like sticky and hot in the sense you're like, your naked body is sticking
to the floor. Yeah.
We had our toilet paper rolls. We had them on our behind our head, like, you know, basically like prison style for pillows.
Wow.
It was like, yeah, it was so intense. Like people watch the show and they're like, oh, okay, like you're naked. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like everything is taken away from you. Like the first day you literally have nothing and you're just like, oh my gosh, shit. Like, what did we do? Like it was so intense. And so that first day back, I got a dress because I couldn't deal with being naked. But Justin was like, okay, we're going to kill each other or ourselves if we don't do something about our floor situation. And we need something to like sit on. So he got back our couch because he's a team player and he was like Mr. Realistic. And he's like, you get your dress and do what you got to do. But like, I'm going to make sure we can like survive this for the next, 20 days. So I'm going to get the couch. So we got the couch from him. And that was a game changer. Like when he asked for that, it was so funny to watch the producers' faces because they were like, wait, what? Like, you're going to get the couch back already? They were trying to like convince him to get something else back because they didn't want him to get the couch back. They were like, why don't
He's
you
smart.
wait? Yeah, he's totally smart. And they were like, why don't you wait? And he was like, nope, I want the couch back. And it was like, and they made him work for it because it was a sectional, like pieces. So they made him go and take it in pieces and go get it, which by the way, everything had to be retrieved from our like pod, our little storage situation, which was a half a mile from our home. And we had to walk there naked to retrieve our items and walk there barefoot. Like it didn't matter what was going on. You had to go and get it. If you wanted your item, you were responsible to retrieve it.
That is intense. You weren't kidding.
No.
Wow. I mean,
I more props to you. I'll tell you right now, I couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it. I mean,
it was intense.
I mean, that's nuts, though. I mean,
I don't think I would have survived without him. I think that if I had done it by myself, which is what they originally wanted, I think I would have like had a full blown meltdown and like dropped out day 2. Like I was really grateful I had him.
It's so funny because I could almost imagine after the show wrapped, he's still like walking around naked around the house. Honey, the show's over. Okay, put some clothes on.
Exactly. He was so
so free.
Whatever. Yeah, he was so free. Like he was like, in our backyard, like picking lemons to figure out how to use it to like brush our teeth since we have a toothbrush. Like,
wow, he went straight Boy Scout style on that one.
All in. And I was like, oh my God, like some face, like how do I like
he went straight Boy Scout on that. You know, he was all MacGyvering everything. You know, he's like, hold on, this grass, this lemon, I could create like a tool out of this right now.
Exactly. And he totally was. It was like everything was a tool. And I was just like, well, good to know. If God forbid I got stranded, like we'd survive.
Right? Right? You did right. You picked the good guy right there, Ali.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, you went. I mean, obviously, you did well on that show. I mean, I really hope you got paid for that.
Believe it or not, you know how it goes in reality.
Well, wow.
Because but you know how it goes.
It sounds like it was torture. So I mean, it's like I hope you got something out of it besides being tortured. I
got pregnant after filming, so I feel like I got my daughter.
That's kind of cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome, though. That's awesome. Well, that's really cool. I mean, you know, you had that show. Many people know you from that show. And of course, you know, you got the style and everything. That now, I mean, you went ahead and you went from all that to now doing your own podcast. I mean, how did the idea of a podcast come about?
So to be honest, it was like not planned at all. So, you know, fast forward,
it's called everything. It's called Everything with Ali Levine.
Yeah, Everything with Ali Levine. Mm-hmm. And before it was Everything with Ali Levine, it was called Stripped Down with Ali Levine, playing off of Stripped. And when
smart marketing,
you know, branding, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
So when I first had Amelia, you know, and I was the first, you know, new mom, I went through pretty heavy postpartum depression with her. And so after, you know, kind of coming out of that darkness and the trenches of becoming a new mom, which so many moms do, I started finding myself all over again. And I realized like that version of Ali that before being a mother, like really didn't exist anymore. And I felt like I was kind of mourning the death of myself in a lot of ways. And so that was my first podcast episode, was like, I wanted to just release it and get it out and just feel like I was not only just journaling, but like voicing how I was feeling. I didn't expect it to really be a podcast. It was more like, I'm just going to voice how I feel and just kind of, you know, get this out healthy, you know, emotionally, and just kind of see what happens. And so I, you know, released it just thinking maybe I'd share a couple episodes of how I was feeling. I didn't think it was going to be like an actual podcast. And I was just so grateful that so many moms came around me and were like, wow, thank you for sharing this. Like, you made me feel not alone. All of a sudden, all these people were reaching out, even like celebrities that were moms, and were like, hey, I'd love to share my story. And it ended up becoming this place where everyone wanted to share their real raw truths. And it was like, holy crap, like, what just happened, you know? And same with my Instagram. It was like, I started sharing my blog, and on my Instagram, like all these raw truths of my postpartum depression and my body not bouncing back the way I thought it was going to, and all these things that like I would honestly never share pre being a mom. You know, it was like always fluff and glam styling when I was posting. And so it was a totally different, you know, avenue for me, and not something I planned on doing at all. But the more I shared, the more all these people were reaching out and saying like, wow, would you share about this? And could you tell your story about that? And all of a sudden I'm, you know, in the space of being an influencer, and I'm sharing my stories and all like real raw truths about myself. And I'm getting, you know, these brand campaigns, and I'm getting partnerships, and my career starts moving in that direction, and it wasn't planned. And so then fast forward, you know, now, you know, when the pandemic first hit in 2020 and everyone's at home, obviously, and everything's really slowed down, you know, my influencer work at that point had really kind of come to a halt. TV segments obviously were at a halt. Everything I was doing was like done. And so I was like, okay, what am I going to do to stay creative and stay just doing something? And so I was like, I got to do more podcasting. I got to do more recording. And Stripped Down was still going, but I realized that it wasn't serving me the way it had served me before. And I wanted to connect with so many other individuals that were struggling during the pandemic and were trying to, you know, pivot and transition their lives. And I didn't want to just be, even though my heart is for moms. And so I was like, how can I do this? And that was hence the rebrand in 2020 was Everything with Ali Levine, because I felt like it had evolved since I was becoming a mom of two. You know, I was pregnant with Arlie, my second, during the pandemic. And I felt like I had a lot of my own growth during that time as well, you know, just with everything going on in the world. And so I thought maybe I will do more of the same show, but change the name and do, you know, wellness and spiritual well-being and everyone's real raw truths, but like encompassing everyone and not just moms, but of course still having a ton of moms on. And so that's how Everything with Ali Levine was born. And it's been really great because with the pandemic, everyone's home. So I've gotten to interview so many amazing people and have them share their stories. And it's been such an inspiring place for my guests, but also for myself. So I've been really enjoying the rebrand and getting to focus on so many different areas that I feel like are so important now, along with motherhood.
No, and that's fantastic. I mean, to go ahead and do that. But I'm wondering if, obviously we know that the pandemic is starting to slow down. It's starting to thank God it's starting to actually with the new vaccine out, the new vaccines and everything, it's starting to little by little, start getting back to normal here and there. I mean, even when things start getting back to normal, are you going to continue the podcast or are you going to, kind of, because, right, like you said, right now, it's because you have time to do it. You have time to go ahead and do it because there's nothing else really going on. Nothing's really opening, this, that, and the other. So how are you going to are you going to be able to tackle being a mom, being a stylist, your brand, everything, and on top of that, a podcast? Are you going to be able to add that now? That's the real question.
I mean, $1 million question, right?
Yeah, it's the truth.
Yeah. I mean, I think if anything during this pandemic, I've learned so much more how to juggle my time. And every day is different. Obviously being a mom of 2 little ones, right now, Justin has the girls or I wouldn't be able to do this. And having a team, with my husband and being able to create time and be intentional with my time has been a game changer during this time because we've really learned how to team up and work together and make things work. So I definitely do want to continue doing all I'm doing with the podcast. I probably won't be interviewing 5 days a week like I'm doing right now because to be honest, I'm actually kind of hitting burnout in general. So it's like you do it for so long and all of a sudden you're like, oh, my face needs a break, my mouth needs a break, everything needs a break.
I usually need a break from Jeremy. So
I was waiting for that. Thanks. But see, that's the thing. Even when we're not doing this, you don't get a break from me.
That's very true.
We're related now. So
that's very unfortunate. Yes, we are. I mean, it's the craziest thing. I mean, it's funny because we were talking about this at the opening of the show that the hats actually describe our rivalry all the time. He's USC, I'm UCLA. So we go that route. But no, that's definitely true. It's definitely true. You do get burned out.
You learn to.
Yours is even worse. I get burned out. I'm single. I have no kids or anything. I can't even imagine you as a mom of 2, doing all this stuff. You definitely get burned out.
I do, for sure. But I think the 2, now that I'm a mom of 2 also, they're my why. You know what I mean? It's my why has changed from, it's still, of course, helping others and empowering them and helping others feel confident and all those things. But my why has completely changed. It's all about them. It's all about my family. So the more I have more, the more I can do more, the more I can give more. It's just, so, I keep that in mind constantly to myself when I feel overwhelmed or when I feel like I can't do everything. I really have to refocus and be okay, what are the priorities I need to get done so that I can make sure I keep my job going? What are the things that can wait for a few days, and I move things around. But I don't think I was ever that intentional or that productive with my time, which is hilarious because I had so much more time before I was a mom. But now I feel like I'm actually more productive because I've learned how to find those small minutes of time. I mean, I work a lot of late nights and I do a lot during nap time and, my me time is, very small, but I get a lot more done because I've learned how to, juggle. And one of my girlfriends said to me recently, it's you have a lot of balls in the air, right? It's plastic balls and glass balls. You can't drop the glass balls, but the plastic balls can hit the floor. So it's how do you figure out which ones, are which and what does that mean to you? And then going back to my why of being intentional of getting that stuff done, and so to your answer, to answer your question, yes, I plan on absolutely continuing, probably pulling it back and only recording maybe 1 or 2 times a week, depending on what else is going on. But I definitely want to keep it moving. It's doing so well. People, I'm getting guests requests constantly now. I'm not having to reach out anymore, which I still am, but it's nice, as you know, when you get guest requests versus having to constantly build up the show. And I feel like I'm past that now and I'm really in the moving forward trajectory and just really exciting things happening with it. And people are really resonating with it. And I'm grateful that people really love the conversations. It's such a real and raw space. I love getting to connect with my guests. So I definitely don't see it going anywhere. I just think I'll probably, back it up a little bit as I make room for other projects that come into play and other content I have to work on for my social now that that's starting.
Time management and everything.
Yeah, time management, exactly. And as a mom, as a entrepreneur, you learn real quick. You have to do it, and you have to really figure out like where your little times, and figure out how to do it. And being, my own business, like I have to remember that I'm also the CEO and be like, okay, today's going to be this project, and then I'm going to set myself up for the month so that I'm not crazy through the whole month. So that's been a lot of juggling, but a lot of learning for me.
And no cream in the tea. Definitely no cream in the tea. You don't want that. I'm always going to remember that one. So it's going to be on the back of my head. No cream in my coffee. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. No. And Jeremy's like, oh God, I have to deal with this guy.
I'm still stunned. We found a tea drinker out of New York.
I gave up coffee like probably 5-7 years ago now. It was like in the beginning when I first moved to LA, I was drinking it like nonstop when I first was, a PA obviously, and I could barely survive like 18-hour days. But then I realized I was so jittery. I was like so all over the place. And I was just like, you know what? I got to give this up. So I gave it up as like a New Year's resolution, but then I never went back to it. And now I stick to tea. And to be honest, I just love water. Like everyone always laughs, but I'm like, water is life to me. Like so much water. I have my big like hydro flask
right here.
I'm drinking my bottled water, so I mean,
like I'm chugging my water. Like sometimes I'll add like a little bit of mint essential oils to it to give it a little like flavor, or like a little something or lemon. But I drink so much water, so I feel like I actually have more energy without the coffee, if that makes sense.
No, I mean, I'm still a coffee drinker. I can't live without coffee. I mean, if I don't have my coffee, people are gonna die. People will die.
I would say, so that's your drama. Like if you don't have your coffee, it's like, get out of my way.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's one of those things where I'm like, you don't want to talk to me when I don't have my coffee. You really don't want to do that right now.
No, I drink my coffee for your protection, not mine.
Exactly. It's like crack, I swear. It's weird. I mean, no, but that's really cool though. I mean, that's really cool that your podcast is doing very well. It's got a very large following. So I mean, I'm very congratulations on that.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, I mean, we're obviously in a pandemic right now, and you've obviously found things to do to continue to move forward, which is really good. I mean, especially, when you're in a closed space and you got no one to, you have nowhere to go, nothing to do, you obviously have to, idle hands. But that's really cool that you found your other niche, which I don't think you even realized that was your niche really, which is podcasting. You had no idea.
No, I had no idea, but people tell me when they come on, they're like, oh, you're so good at interviewing. And it's funny. I've had so many guests reach out and be like, can I just tell you made me so comfortable. It was one of the easiest interviews I ever had. And I'm like, really? It's so funny, right? You're like,
you love hearing that. You definitely.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you really do.
So
I've had that.
Yeah, I'm sure you have, and it's like, I don't know, there's something really fun and magical about podcasting. Like, obviously you guys can understand being podcasters. Like, I love the social media space. I love that, I'm very grateful that my, being an influencer and getting to work with brands and campaigns, but there's just something so magical and real about podcasting where even though I try to be as real as possible on my Instagram and on my social platforms, I still feel like there's this fluff fakeness to a point, just no matter what, just built into it. And with podcasting, it just doesn't exist. It's a community. Everyone loves to have open conversations, whether you agree or not. It's just back and forth conversation. And I don't know, it's so cool. And I'm grateful that I got so heavy into it during the pandemic, because I remember one of the first months in the pandemic and it was really hard and really heavy. And I turned to Justin and I said, I am so grateful for my podcast right now. And he was like, really? And I was like, I feel like this is keeping me sane. I'm having all these amazing conversations and being inspired and uplifted and finding business ideas, all these things that I just wouldn't have had I not switched my podcast to being this more open space with all those people and drawing those people in and aligning with those people. So I really I love it. I'm so grateful for my show.
I understand completely. I mean, I've been doing podcasting since 2010. I've been on and off doing it.
But it was first becoming a thing. Yeah.
I knew it was gonna pop. I always knew it was going to pop. I had this feeling. I'm like, you know what? This is the future. Podcasting is in fact the future. Radio is slowly but surely, you know, starting to, and it's starting to fade a little bit, but it's mainly because there's so many restrictions in radio. You can't be real. You can't say what you want to say in radio.
It's a box, right?
Exactly. You can't get out of there, you know, and that's something that a lot of people want to like just break out and get into podcasting because they want to say what they feel. They want to have no FCC regulations, no restrictions, nothing. Just say what you want to say, you know,
and create it and have it be yours. And whatever the message you're trying to get out there, whatever you're trying to share, like that's yours, you know, and you've created it. And I agree with you. And I kind of feel like that's like where we're going in general in the future, like pandemic or not. I feel like we have learned during this time, like in my opinion, like one of the blessings for me is like realizing that like there's been so many limiting beliefs around me that like I have to do this or I have to do that. And it's like, that's not true. We've all learned during this time, like we can shift things around. We can figure out other avenues. We don't have to be in a box per se. You can do remote work and still be productive. Some people have been more productive being remote work, you know? So I think like a lot of those systems and you know, programs and boxes that we were put in are slowly like fading away, and we're starting to be like, no, we're going to do things our way.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. You know, that's definitely very true. So, I mean, you know, obviously we're going back, pandemic's starting to like die down a little bit. You know, we're starting to like slowly but surely, you know, again with the new vaccine, get back to normal and everything as normal as we can. I mean, what do you have planned once things start to actually move forward? What's going on? What's going on with your company, with your brand and everything, Ali? I mean, what's the plan for the future for you?
Yeah. So, you know, I'm hoping to do more TV segments, whether they're remote or not. Right now, they've all been remote. A lot of studios are going to stay remote for quite some time. So I plan on creating a lot more ideas and content for these different remote segments, you know, all over different, you know, states and counties and everything. I did one with Vegas recently on self-love and how, like, you know, self-love is self-awareness. Did a lot of projects around that. We had a lot of fun with that. San Diego, I've got some other, San Francisco and some other places I'm working on for like May, for Mother's Day. So I'm really focusing on content and ideas and strategies around that. Obviously, my influencer work, you know, luckily is I can be at home with the girls. So I'm just working on ideas of different brands that I want to partner with to get different messages out that I want to align with and get out. My YouTube is slowly relaunching. I didn't plan on that at all. It's been kind of just one of those things that's been sitting for a long time. And it was funny, like I was telling this to Kelly last week, that one of my videos from like 2.5 years ago went viral, and all of a sudden I'm getting all these comments, and I see I have like 1.4 million views on a video, and I'm like, what the heck? And it's a video of me, like, it was so funny because it was like all like 20 seconds, and it's literally me like at an event having to breastfeed Amelia while doing my makeup, while getting ready, like doing all the things as a new mom, like struggling, falling over. And I just threw it up as like a, you know, mom on the go, real life kind of thing. And all of a sudden it's like trending and it's like everywhere. And I'm like, what the heck? And so she's like, well, we got to launch YouTube again. And so because I have all these new subscribers and people, so I'm like, okay, so I'm slowly working on content for that and like what I want that to look like going forward, because it was first just fashion. And now obviously my whole brand has become fashion, motherhood, kind of lifestyle. So I'm figuring out what videos to put up for that and release that. Of course, more podcast episodes, hopefully some interviews in person as well as, you know, remote to have guests on. And styling wise, you know, a lot of people are hitting me up on Zoom and FaceTime and Skype to be dressed, you know, to get them ready for work again and to help them find their confidence. So I'm really enjoying getting to do that and help people all over the world that I would have maybe never connected with. So it's exciting. There's a lot of stuff moving forward. And I'm sure as things open up more, you know, I'll figure out some other things out in the world. But, you know, honestly, being a mom, you know, of two, I love being home with the girls and getting to work from home. So, you know, events, of course, here and there to go to, hopefully some studios to show up at, but most of my work and running my business around the girls.
Nice. Well, I'm very happy that you definitely know the direction that you're going and what's going to happen next with Ali. I mean, hopefully, maybe one of these days I could call you up and be like, Ali, help me out. I look like crap.
Yeah.
I don't think even Ali could help you, brother. Sorry.
I was waiting for that. I was waiting for that from him. I was waiting from that from him. You know, he always has to go ahead and like get that little gem in there.
Little dig. Yeah.
It's how he knows I love him.
Yes. It's tough love. It's tough love, but it's love of some sort, nonetheless.
It feels like love, so
it feels like something. I don't know if I would call it love, but it feels like something. Something jabbing me on the side.
Okay. I love it.
But anyways, well, Ali, how can people go ahead and stalk you on social media?
Stalk me. Okay, so people can find me at Ali Levine Design, ALILEVINE Design, no S. A lot of people always think it's an S, no S. Ali Levine Design. Instagram, I show up the most, but I do, of course, have Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest and TikTok. And
I was gonna ask if you gotten into TikTok already too.
Yeah, you know what's funny? I got onto TikTok in the beginning of the pandemic, and then I was like, this is exhausting, and I got off. And then recently, again, I've been getting asked to get back on. So I'm trying to be good about dropping a video here and there. It's fun. Like, it's not really work, but it's just like, obviously being a content creator when all you do is create, you get exhausted. So it's like, I have to pick and choose like where I'm going to show up. And I wish I could split myself into a million pieces and be on all different platforms, but you know, it's intense. So I am doing it, but it's more like just kind of fun videos versus like, for example, I just did like a body video that did well, where I was like showing my mom bod and saying I was proud of my mom body. Like, you know, I never thought I'd be here with this body now, but like, I'm proud of it. I had 2 girls, and, you know, so it's a little bit more like fun and loose versus like structured, obviously, on other social platforms. So I'm playing around with it more. YouTube, like I said, is going to relaunch with new content. There are some new videos there, so you can go check them out. And of course, my podcast, Everything with Ali Levine. Anywhere you listen to this amazing podcast, you can find my podcast. And just honestly search alilevine.com is my website. That's rebranding, actually, which I'm really excited about. That'll be updated come sometime in April is the goal. And it's going to be just a mix of everything I've had going on for all these years, and not just fashion, but bringing in the motherhood and podcast and lifestyle. So you get to see all the things I've been up to in the last few years that have kind of gone through in a blur. And yeah, you know, just I'm always open for fun new opportunities. I got some cool interviews going on, you know, for TV soon. So there's a lot of exciting stuff coming. I'm excited.
Nice. Do you ever do any Instagram lives or Facebook lives at all? You know, go ahead and chat with some of your fans, followers.
Yeah, I do some Instagram lives. I know it's funny you said that. Everyone keeps saying that to me. I did one last week. I had a mom on where we talked about like boundaries and how important they are. And it was a really interesting, and people got really into the conversation. And I did a TikTok actually with this really cool woman who's like a TikTok expert. I had her on a few weeks ago, and we talked all things TikTok and monetizing. But I do have to get better about doing some random lives here and there, because everyone's been asking me, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about Instagram Live. Like, and you know,
I forgot that exists.
Right, I forgot it exists. And also too, obviously with being podcasters, like we're on podcasting, right? So we're talking to everybody there, but you forget like not everybody is listening to the podcast, you know? So it's like, oh, okay, I should. So yeah, I add that to my to-dos that I need to jump on more lives.
Nice. Well, Ali Levine, thank you so much for being on the Xander Effect. It was a pleasure and an adventure to chat with you today. Hopefully you'll be able to make it back here again very soon.
Thanks so much for having me.
No
nice
worries.
meeting you, Ali. Great talking with you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Coming up next on the Xander Effect, Khabib Nurmagomedov has made it official. He has officially retired from the UFC. We'll talk a little bit about that. But first, here is Incubus, Pardon Me, right here on the Xander Effect.
Ago, I never thought I would be at 23 on the verge of spontaneous combustion. Woe is me, but I guess that it comes with a territory, an ominous landscape of never-ending calamity. I need you to hear, I need you to see, but I am half, I can take an exploding scene bigger than it. impossibility. But tell me, so pardon me while I burst into flames. I've had enough of the world and its people's mindless games. So pardon me while I burn and rise above the flame. Pardon me, I'll never be the same. Not 2 days ago, I was having a look in a book and I saw a picture of a guy right up above his knee. I said I can relate, cause lately I've been thinking of combustication as a welcome vacation from the burdens of the planet Earth, gravity, hypocrisy, and the perils of being in 3D. But thinking so much differently. Pardon me while I burst into flames. I've had enough of the world and its people's mindless games. So pardon me while I burn and rise above the flame. Pardon me, I'll never be the same. Never be the same. Pardon me while I burst into flames. Pardon me, pardon me, pardon me. So pardon me while I burst into flames. I've had enough of the world and its people's mindless games. So pardon me while I burn and rise above the flame. Pardon me, I'll never be the same. Pardon me, never be the same.
Hey yo, Swing World, what's good with yourselves? This is your boy Twizzle White Piece, and guess what? You're listening to that super saucy show known as The Xander Effect. So make sure you tune in, turn up, and turn out for my boy Xander. You feel me? The Xander Effect. You did.
Like they do in Texas, please. Fold them, let poker face, poker face. I won't tell you that I love you just to hug you, 'cause I'm bluffing with my muffin. I'm not lying, I'm just stunning with my love glue gunning. Just like a chick in the casino, take your bank before I pay you out. I promises, promises. Check this hand 'cause I'm marvelous. Can't read mine, no we can't read my poker face. She's got me like nobody. Can't read mine, no we can't read my poker face. She's got me like nobody. Can't read mine, no we can't read my poker face. She's got me like nobody. Can't read mine, no we can't read my poker face. She's got me like nobody. Can't read mine, no we can't read my poker face. She's got me like nobody. Can't read mine, no we can't read my poker face. She's got me like nobody. Poker face, poker face. 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 Poker face, poker face.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Ariane Celeste.
This is Larry Neymar, the founder of E! Entertainment Television.
Hi, this is Maricela Cornejo.
Hey, how's it going? This is Polo Molina.
Hey, yo, what's up? This is the Xander Effect, and I am the DJ KID, the Kick the Creek. Welcome to the place to be.
Señorita, you know, I've been looking for you all of my life, and I just want to let you know that if you love me, you love me. If you don't love me, then tell me you don't love me. You know? Hey, come on. Hey, some people say we don't need a body to lean on. I don't agree though. Mamas have papas and papas have mamas, and people need people. Opposites equal. A baby so little. There's a chapel somewhere. Where? On a hill in San Pedro, overlooking the ocean, with a gazebo for a male and a female, hoping that he will propose to a face to face, hand to hand, body to body, and not through an email. Used to have problems with details. Now I know what you're wearing, like I've been working for women's retail. We going for a ride. Why don't you fasten your seatbelt? We will never forget or never regret the stuff that we said as we walked in the aisle through the altar, straight out the church into the caucus. It's an event. Marriage was meant. A man and a woman. I gotta stand for something. Head over heels, like I fell on the steps. My head is still spinning from tumbling. Man, I'm just rambling, huh? And they say I don't know nothing.
Maybe I'm dumb when it comes to
Baby, I've been calling you, hoping that you let me through. Maybe I can talk to you.
Where you at?
And possibly you say I do. But you just let it ring, 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 ring.
Come on, girl.
If you would wear this ring, 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 ring. Hey, hey. I'm assuming you love me. Woman, you want me. Why don't you tell me? I come when you call me. There's something about you that plays with my heartbeat. There's something about you makes me feel like I'm melting. No matter what you say, nothing can stop me. Girl, you can help me. Don't take a selfie without me. Tell me about you like there's nothing about me. There's so much that you possess. Let me do your accounting. What would you say if I whisked you away? Pick you up from the job in the middle of the day in a helicopter with some tickets to a play or an opera. Right before we get there, and some lobster or a plate full of pasta. Then I hug you while I'm planning to surprise you. After the embrace, stand up in the place, get right up in your face. Then I stop you, get on one knee so everyone can see I'm in the posture. Take it out my pocket, then I open a little box up. Got that expression on your face like you just won an Oscar. Couldn't imagine my life without you. Baby, I've been calling you, hoping that you let me through. Maybe I can talk to you. Possibly you say I do, but you just let it ring, 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 ring. If you would wear this ring, 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 ring. It's plagiarism, yeah, to say that you do and act like you're true. that to you, girlfriend. It's plagiarism, yeah. To say that you care and act like you're there. You stole my idea, girlfriend. Lately I've been calling you, hoping that you let me through. Maybe I can talk to you, and possibly you say I do, but you just let it ring, 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 ring. If you would wear this ring, 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 ring. Lately I've been calling you, hoping that you let me through. Maybe I can talk to you, and possibly you say I do, but you just let it ring, 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 ring. If you would wear this ring, 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 ring. Hey, hey.
That was John Doe's Ring right here on the Xander Effect. Again, big thanks to Ali Levine for paying us a visit here on the Xander Effect. Really appreciate her coming through. Man, talk about going from somewhere completely different to something completely different in that entire life.
It just goes to show. I mean, you can tell she's somebody who likes the hustle.
Yep.
She does. She's not somebody who's going to be happy sitting on her tush at home. She wants to be hustling and moving, and she's always looking for new opportunities. And when you're open to whatever comes along, she's a living example of what can happen and how far that can take you.
And she's also a living example of a woman that can handle everything, being a mom, business, and just everything. I mean, that's something that should always be revered.
No, absolutely. And, mad props to her husband as well for being the other half of that equation.
Always
being supportive. Well, that's what I mean, being supportive and, having kids, as she said, doing our interview, the kids are with him at the moment. Mm-hmm. He's stepping up, and when she's got to do her stuff, he's there. He's that other. I mean, so mad props to him. Sounds like an awesome guy. Ali is amazing. I mean, I'm blown away, dude. She is a force of nature.
Tell me about it. No, I've met her in person. I've hung out with her before, and she's just a sweetheart. Love Ali. I think she's amazing. Everybody go ahead and make sure you Google her, find her social media, check her out, check out her podcast. It's fantastic. And definitely looking forward to having her back here again. We got some news in sports. Jeremy, you called it. You said it. He's not coming back, and he's definitely not coming back. Khabib Nurmagomedov has officially retired with a stunning 29-0 record in the UFC in mixed martial arts. It seems that Dana White went ahead and told ESPN via text message, quote, "Khabib is retired and doesn't want to hold up the division. Tonight was our final meeting, and he is retired." I mean, you said it, dude. You said that the guy has nothing else to prove. I mean, and he said he was done. He was done.
As we talked about before, his reasons for retiring were sound. This was not a guy who's burnt out and doesn't want to do it anymore. This is not a guy who maybe has lost his passion. This is a guy who made a promise to his mother. This is a guy who was fighting for the pride of his father, who was his trainer and in his corner and always there for him, the reason he fought in the first place. Well, that's not there anymore. He said, "I can't picture ever walking into the ring again without my dad. Mm-hmm. I wanted to come back this one time, win, honor him, and that's it."
Retired champ.
And he not only retired a champ, as we said, undefeated, does not have a single thing to prove. He beat every single top person they threw at him. as we've talked about before, once the guy gets his hands on you, it's over with. I mean, he's an anaconda. It's absolutely amazing to watch.
He's wrestled bears, for God's sake.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I mean, the guy is an absolute beast. And like I said, what made me really realize that this was the end. He was done. Was just his reasons were very personal and very sound. You know, it's when you've lost what you've always fought for. And again, we know the toll this takes on the body. We know the dedication it takes. When you've lost the one reason you got into fighting in the first place, that's a big portion of your motivation and your purpose that is gone now. So I didn't see Dana White being able to talk his way through that. You know, Dana's probably got the best mouth on him for this kind of business next to Vince McMahon. You know, he is kind of the second coming of Vince when it comes to that kind of thing and being able to talk these guys into just about anything. But I really I could see it. There was just no way he was going to talk his way into this one. I mean, you can see it in Khabib's eyes.
I mean, it also seems that in a way I could also almost, and I'm not saying that he did, but it would almost seem like Dana White kind of tells other fighters to try to egg him on, try to, you know, hey, go ahead and talk crap about him, you know, try to see if you could, like, you know, rope him into a fight or something. I'm almost thinking that that's Dana White telling Conor McGregor, be like, dude, he doesn't like you, egg him on, you know, see if maybe you talking crap will make him come back or something.
Now, you and I, of course, have no proof that occurred.
Exactly.
But I'd be willing to bet my house on it. I mean, no joke. That's definitely in Dana's wheelhouse. He is the master of that type of publicity. And as much
instigation,
as much as he talks a good game about keeping it professional and everything else, he knows what drives the numbers, and it's the rivalries and the shit talking and the back and forth. So yeah, he's been known to stir the pot, and I wouldn't put it past him at all to have tried to, through other fighters, needle Khabib back into the ring. I absolutely think his fingerprints were all over that.
Well, it's a sad day for Dana White then, because Khabib didn't bite. Khabib did not bite.
The one time I was pretty positive he was not going to get his way this time, and it looks that way. And you know, God bless Khabib. Retire in peace. Go enjoy your life, man. You gave us some great years and some amazing fights, and he was an absolute privilege to watch as a fight fan.
Made a ton of money. Made so much. I mean, dude.
And brought a lot of pride and respect to his people. You know, you're talking about a very proud culture and a very proud people, and he brought a lot of, not notoriety in a bad way, but he brought a lot of notice and a lot of respect to his culture. And you can't say enough about him. He really is an amazing champion.
True. And, more power to him. Wish him much luck in whatever he decides to do in the future. Seems like this probably won't be the end of the last time we'll hear of Khabib Nurmagomedov being involved in MMA. Maybe not as a fighter, but maybe he'll be training other fighters, maybe creating his own team to, sponsor another fighter, to go ahead and continue the tradition and take on the mantle. I mean, he has a lot to teach. He learned a lot from his father, and therefore I wouldn't be surprised if he would like to share that knowledge with maybe his kids or maybe somebody that he believes has potential to be the next him. I mean, there is no boundary. Sky's the limit for Khabib right now. He's young. He's got long, life ahead of him, God willing. I mean, he's got a lot of stuff that he could go ahead and look forward to. So more power to him, and I wish him luck. In other sports news, looks like Deshaun Watson is in even more hot water than was actually expected. Apparently, the NFL has decided to begin an investigation on these sexual misconduct allegations against Deshaun Watson. But the bad part about it is that more women have come forward. We have at least from what I understand, from what the reports suggest, there's at least 5 or 6 other women that have come forward, and these women have pretty much the same story. They all have, from what I understand, they all have 7. Actually, it's been reported 7 cases, 7 different cases of accusers that it says, according to TMZ.com, accuser number 4, accuser number 5, accuser number 6, and accuser number 7, all using the pseudonyms Jane Doe, make similar accusations to the previous accusers. So that's a lot. I mean, if they all have the same accusations, that's not looking good for Deshaun. Like it's looking pretty bad. I mean, there's even one of the accusers, or the first accuser actually, her lawyer has texts that basically read. This is actually in a time frame of during the time that Deshaun was having a massage or something like that, and allegedly, according to what the accuser is saying, is that Deshaun was making her feel uncomfortable. He actually exposed himself to her, was putting her hand on his genitalia, trying to make her massage it or something like that. And according to the screenshot of the text messages, it says, at the end of the text message, there's a certain time frame between the two. The first one is at basically something about something about restroom or something like that, and it's actually dated March 30th of 2020. This is at around 2:45 p.m. And then the next message on March 30th, this is almost an admission of guilt. Damn near almost an admission of guilt, or not an admission of guilt. It's more along the lines of it coincides with the accusations, and this could actually damage it even more. It says the text is actually at 4:33 p.m. So that's about a little over 2 hours after the initial text, and it reads, quote, "Sorry." This is from Deshaun to the masseuse saying, quote, "Sorry about you feeling uncomfortable. Never were the intentions. Let me know if you want to work in the future. My apologies." That right there could kind of make him look bad a little bit. It coincides with what the accusation, what she was saying, and then him trying to apologize afterward, after exposing himself allegedly. So that's not looking good for Deshaun at all right now. I mean, what do you think on this whole situation, Jeremy?
You know me, on these, I'm never in a rush to judgment position just because I've seen it go both ways.
There's 7 accusers at this point.
And I'm not saying I'm playing devil's advocate here, essentially.
It's a tough one, I know.
This is coming at a time, and again, I'm playing devil's advocate. I am not one who is a disbeliever every time someone comes out and accuses somebody. I really do believe you need to, if not completely support, but at least give the benefit of the doubt to any accuser who comes forward talking about this stuff. We spend way too many years sweeping this crap under the rug for celebrities and high-profile people. So I'm not trying to do that. But this has all come up, coincidentally perhaps, at the time when he was refusing to report and demanding a trade from his team. Now,
interesting.
Like I said, I'm just playing devil's advocate. Those texts sound awful, but is it that outlandish to think that someone with a vested stake in this might contact other women to say, hey, jump on the bandwagon, we could use this, like I said,
it almost sounds like mafia almost, you know.
Like I said, well, what do you think big business in this country is?
True.
The most dangerous gang in this country is big business. In particular, old white money big business. So, you know, that's the most dangerous gang in this entire country. So, again, I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm not saying these women are lying. I'm playing devil's advocate. That's why I'm not rushing to judgment. You know, there's going to be an investigation by the NFL. If more charges continue to come forward like this, the police will probably get involved as well.
I believe they already are. I think they might be already involved.
There we go. Then, like I said, we're going to hear more and the investigation's going to progress. I'm not going to rush to judgment on either side because I have seen it go both ways. I've seen people that I knew who were high profile be targeted with false accusations. Now, I've also seen it go the other way with people that I knew who I never would have thought could do something like that, and the charges turn out to be true. So again, I don't rush to judgment on either side of this. I do find it a little suspicious that we heard nothing about any of this stuff, with him being a rising, you know, one of the biggest names in the game, one of the biggest rising quarterbacks, stars in the game. We haven't heard word one about this until he's having problems with his contract and wants out of Texas.
Yeah, you do bring up a good point, and that
just seems a little fishy to me.
Yeah, it could be a little bit suspect. I'm not going to lie. You put it in that context.
But we're going to find out. I mean, the investigation's going to move forwards, and if he was that inappropriate with all of these people and made them feel uncomfortable and was doing, you know, basically sexually assaulting these people. I mean, grabbing someone's hand and sticking it on your junk is sexual assault.
I mean, and not only that, but I mean, here's the thing. That text, you could read, it's a very broad text. It's not really an admission of guilt because, I mean, why would you apologize to somebody like, oh, sorry for putting your hand on my junk? It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. If he was trying to just cover his ass, then it makes sense. But like you said, it could also be read the other way in that maybe he flirted with her. Maybe he turned over and, you know, thought it was a happy ending or asked about it or something, you know, and that made her uncomfortable. Again, I'm just throwing crap out there.
Could be anything.
It could be absolutely anything, but that text could be read. I mean, as a prosecutor or defense attorney, I mean, somebody could turn that text into whatever they want. It could be an admission of guilt. It could be something completely innocent. It's however the spin doctors decide to play it.
True. I mean, and of course, in this country, you're innocent until proven guilty. So we just have to wait and see exactly what the end result of the investigation happens. But the crappy part about this is that his career is now in question. I mean, you know, his sponsors are going to start getting away from that. This could be very damaging for Deshaun Watson.
It absolutely could.
I mean, this is of course, you know, if he's found innocent of all this, it's still very damaging to his reputation, his career, sponsors, the works.
It absolutely is. And for a rising quarterback, that's a bad thing. I mean, you're the face of whatever franchise you go to. So who's going to want you to be the face of their franchise if this is what you're known for?
If in the back of their head, they're going to be thinking, this guy is a rapist, this guy's this guy's that.
But let me throw this out there. Kareem Hunt is playing in the league again. This is a man who knocked a woman out cold in a freaking hallway or whatever it was.
True.
He's playing again. So obviously winning comes first for football teams, for any sports franchise for the most part.
NCAA.
And, you know, it just winning comes first. So eventually someone's going to want him. I mean, even if he spends a year or two out, his talent level is such that somebody's going to throw a contract at him and say, we'll give it a shot. And he'll come out and probably be very contrite, and he's learned his lesson. And so, the spin doctors will get a hold of it. But unless they can prove he actually committed rape,
or sexual misconduct for that matter.
And sexual misconduct, again, even if they're just proving he grabbed their hand and put it on his junk, I'm telling you, I don't think that's enough to end his career.
True.
I don't. I really don't. I think it'll blow over to some degree and somebody will throw a contract at him. It's just the way the business works.
Well, guess we're going to have to wait and see and find out to see exactly how this all plays out. But so far right now, Deshaun Watson is in a lot of hot water right now. So we'll just go ahead and see what happens with him in these upcoming weeks with this whole accusation. In other sports news, NFL Thursday Night Football is moving to Amazon Prime Video starting in 2023. So it looks like Amazon will be, according to IGN.com, it says, this is reported by J. Kim Murphy. It says, quote, "The streaming landscape continues to expand into the world of professional sports. Amazon Prime Video has reached a deal with the NFL, securing an exclusive national broadcast package to become the home for Thursday Night Football beginning in 2023. No broadcast TV partner is on board." That's pretty big. Like, Jeff Bezos is just like, give me more money.
Well, the man can spend, and it doesn't hurt him.
Yeah. This is like a drop in the bucket for him.
Like, it's not enough that we already have like 3 other channels to have to go to for different games, and now we got to go to a streaming channel to get this. There is something to be said for centralization.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
But I mean, it's a big move, and it definitely shows, that streaming is where it's at right now. As we're seeing, it's changing. I mean, given the pandemic had a lot to do with it, but it's changing movies. It's changing, everything. So it's becoming the new normal. I mean, how many people actually tune in to their weekly show on a regular network?
Yeah.
And how many people used to do that?
Yep.
Because I know a lot of people who don't and just wait until, the end of the season, mid-season, and then they stream it.
Watch the entire thing. Yep. Avoid the commercials. That's what I do.
It's changed the game. It really has. So this is just another step in that.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, it's just television is slowly but surely losing out on, to streaming networks.
Absolutely.
Because in the end, in my opinion, I believe viewers want to have control over what they're watching. They want to have control over the shows they want to watch. They don't want to watch commercials, so they pay extra so that way they could avoid, watching the commercials. I mean, this is something that has become a trend now, and it's something new.
Well, I'll add something to that too, is the networks are too regulated. Very much like we were talking about with Ali, in that radio is too regulated, and podcasts are becoming where it's at because it's more real, it's more natural, it's more raw. Well, similarly, the things people want to see are the ones that are pushing the envelope. They're the things that are generally discarded by the networks because it's too edgy, or it's too this, or it's too that. I mean, the networks half the time don't know don't have a clue what they're doing when it comes to their programming. It's the truth. I mean, look at what is the longest running show on TV outside the Simpsons. It's NCIS.
Yep.
That was not supposed to succeed. I think I've told you this before.
Yeah.
Every network turned it down. Every single network. The only reason CBS bought it is because they were doing so well that year, they needed a loser. They expected it to flop.
Oops.
And they wanted something to get their books evened a little bit. And it turns into one of the longest running shows on television.
And one of the most popular shows on television.
So again, please don't hate me forever, networks. If you offer me a job, I'll come running like a lapdog. Don't worry about it. But, you know, half the time they don't even know. You know, they're focusing on a certain genre or a certain age demographic or whatever. I mean, there was a period of time where CBS was only really targeting the adult market. You know, it was during the time of Murphy Brown and that kind of stuff. That's really what they were focused on, where you had NBC and ABC who were focused more towards slightly younger generation. Then you had Fox, who was geared towards more of the X game generation. And, you know, but again, they're passing on shows that might be brilliant because it doesn't fit their idea of what their network is.
Doesn't fit their clique.
Well, that's exactly it. But you don't have that with streaming.
True.
I mean, look at Netflix, look at Amazon, look at Hulu, look at, you know, Disney Plus, look at all of them. Any of their original content, any of the stuff that's being produced, their shows, it's all stuff that you wouldn't normally see on a network. But it's stuff people are dying to watch. So given that new opening, I mean, where would you want to go? Would you want to, I mean, if you had the opportunity to do a show your way, would you want to do it with a network and all the censors and all the BS you got to go through and them having most of the control? Or would you want to do it your way and go through a streaming service, you know?
Well, we've already talked about that one. It's already, you know
what I'm saying? I mean, it's not that going with the network is not great. I mean, I worked on a network show. It was amazing.
But that was a different time.
And it was a different era. Exactly. But I mean, I have friends who are working on shows right now who've worked on network shows consistently over the last 10 years. And it's a great gig. It's a wonderful opportunity. And they do produce some wonderful stuff, but they limit themselves.
Well, I mean, it looks like it's spilled over into the sports. So, because now sports are going to be getting in that. I mean, they were already starting to do that as well on the CBS app, which is now called the Paramount app because Paramount, you know, got involved now. But they were kind of doing it there as well. On the Paramount app, they were streaming sports. They were already starting to like get to that. I mean, ESPN has its own app as well, but they don't stream. They show highlights,
right?
You know, of games and things like that. And they show like older games and stuff, you know, that you could watch and everything. But and Hulu, of course, Hulu also, if you buy a package with Hulu, you get like the NFL package where you could actually stream some of your sporting events on Hulu as well. So it's already like, it was only a matter of time before Amazon joined in the party with that one. They probably saw the revenue and they saw, we can make more money off this stuff if we start doing this.
Absolutely. I mean,
that's a big one for them to go ahead and acquire.
That is a big one for them. I mean, you know, they're not going to get Monday Night Football away from anybody.
Yeah, that's ABC's for life. Is it ABC or NBC now?
Oh God, I don't know who they changed to, but whoever they changed to this last time, I think it was a 20 or 25 year deal. So
it's ESPN. Last year I saw it in so many different channels. I'm like,
I know.
Monday Night Football?
I'm so confused. I literally just go on and look at the guide on the TV. I'm like, oh, okay, there it is. I don't even know what channel it is most of the time.
I just type in the search. I'm like, where is at Monday Night Football?
But see, that's what I was going to say is, you know, you look at the deals that these streaming services have signed. I watch most of my sports on YouTube Live.
Okay.
On YouTube TV. And I get almost every sports channel and all of that stuff. And they have their own deal that they have cut with the NFL, with Major League Baseball, so on and so forth. So, you know, it makes sense that Amazon is seeing this piece of the pie and, you know, they've got their fingers in everything else. So why not?
Why not? Well, it's not even going to happen until 2023. So there's still a while left before we start seeing
probably
something like that.
To run out the contract on the other one.
Exactly. So we're going to go ahead and have to wait. I can't talk again. I'm all tongue tied.
You haven't had your coffee yet.
I really have not had my coffee right now. So that's why I'm just like, die. That's where I'm at right now. Anyways, we'll just have to see what happens in 2023 because now Amazon has Thursday Night Football. So we'll see what happens with that. Coming up next in video game news, Marvel's Avengers has a slate of downloadable games coming at us for 2021. We'll talk a little bit about that. But first, here's Cicada's Lovers right here on the Xander Effect.
What up? This is AB.
Hey guys, this is Sean Kanan.
What's going on? It's Amanda Holly.
Hey, Jeremy Miller from Growing Pains here.
This is Maximado Riley Sawyer. And you're listening.
And you're listening.
And you're listening to the Xander Effect.
my girl, he won't be. Ooh, with you there inside me. All night. Ooh, doing it again, and again, and again, and again. Ooh, baby, I want you so bad, baby, 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 baby. I get so high when I'm around you, baby. I can touch the sky. You make my temperature rise. Girl, you're making me high. Baby, baby, ooh, I get so high when I'm around you, baby. I can touch the sky. Touch the sky. My temperature rise. You know you're making me
You're listening to the Xander Effect. Oh boy.
What it do, baby boy? Yeah, little mama, you looking good. I see you wanna play with a player from the hood. Come holler at me, you got it like that. Big Snoop Dogg with the lead pussycat. I show you how I go there. Yeah, I wanna throw that. Me and you one-on-one, treat it like a show that. You look at me and I look at you. I'm reaching for your shirt, what you want me to do?
I'm telling you to loosen up my buttons, baby, but you keep running. Say what you gon' do to me, but I ain't seen nothing. I'm telling you to loosen up my buttons, baby, but you keep running. Say what you gon' do to me, but I ain't seen nothing. Typical and hardly the type I fall for. I like when the physical, don't leave me asking for more. I'm a sexy mama, just how to get what I wanna. All I do is spring this on ya. All the things that I told ya. You've been saying all the right things all night long, but I can't seem to get you over here to help take this off. Baby, can't you see? This goes off getting on me. The heat coming from the speed. I'm about to blow. I don't think you know. I'm telling you to loosen up my buttons, baby, but you keep running. Say what you gon' do to me, but I ain't seen nothing. I'm telling you to loosen up my buttons, baby, but you keep running. Say what you gon' do to me, but I ain't seen nothing. You say you're a big boy, but I can't agree, 'cause the love you said you had ain't been put on me. I wonder if I'm just too much for you, wonder if a kiss don't make you just wonder what I got next for you, what you wanna do. Take a chance to recognize that this could be yours. I can see, just like those guys, that your game don't please. You see, this goes off getting on me. The heat coming from the speed. I'm about to blow. I don't think you know. I'm telling you to loosen up my buttons, baby, but you keep running. Say what you gon' do to me, but I ain't seen nothing. I'm telling you to loosen up my buttons, baby, but you keep running. Say what you gon' do to me, but I ain't seen nothing.
Now you can get what you want, but I need what I need. Now let me tell you what's cracking like before I proceed. I'ma show you where to put it at. PCD on me, yeah, I thought I saw a pussycat. Now roll with the big dog, all 6 of y'all on me. Now tell me how I feel, baby doll. Ashley, Nicole, Carmi, Jessica, Kimberly, Melody, you telling me?
Loosen up. Yeah, I can't take this. I'm telling you to loosen up my buttons, baby, but you keep running. Say what you gon' do to me,
That was the Pussycat Dolls featuring Snoop Dogg, Buttons, right here on the Xander Effect. In video game news, looks like Marvel's Avengers is finally getting downloadable content. Now, as we all know, the video game, it wasn't the most popular video game. I mean, I played it, and after that campaign, you're kind of left with, okay, what now? I mean, it's a very long game as it is. It's a little complex, sort of a little bit, but let's be honest, it wasn't really the best game that Marvel shelled out. We were expecting a lot more. A lot of us, like the fans, were like, well, if it's anything like the movies, this is going to be awesome. You know, I mean, this is going to be a great game. You know, you have all these heroes with superpowers. I get to choose who I want to be. We expected a lot more. We didn't get a lot more. We got something very mundane, and it did not receive great reviews. I'm one of those that I'm like, you know what? If I were to give it, something out of 10, I'd probably give it like a 4 out of 10, because it wasn't the best. Yes, the story was good and everything, and yes, you get to play your different characters as far as heroes go, but I don't know. There's just something missing about the game, and I can't put my finger on it. It got boring, so much so that I just was like, I stopped playing. I haven't played Marvels since I beat the campaign months ago. That's how boring it got. Like, I'm just like, I don't feel like doing all this stuff, you know. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't the only one. Many gamers also expressed their displeasure for the game. They weren't too happy with it. Some went so far as to say, hey, I kind of want my money back. This game was not what I expected. It's crap. So looks like Marvel heard their pleas, and they're trying to kind of make amends trying to make up for their error in that game. Mind you, however, they're not making it free, which many gamers are like, you might as well make this like a free game because it sucks so badly, you know, but they're not. They're actually not. As a matter of fact, the reason why they're not is because they're adding more content. They went ahead and had a meeting today, I believe. The Square Enix, they decided to share their roadmap for 2021 for the Marvel's Avengers, and in March they have Operation Hawkeye: Future Imperfect, which is a new I believe it's a new mission. This is for the next gen consoles, which, by the way, I got. I'm kind of happy about that myself right now. So this one actually has a new hero, villain, and story. Free upgrade to next gen. Reassemble campaign replay, customizable harm room. So that's for March. In the spring, they have the Tachyon Anomaly. Play as any combination of your favorite heroes. Tachyon missions scaled for power levels 1 through 100. They also have the Red Room Takeover, and that one is enter the Red Room with new themed harm room content and new hero outfits. Now in the summer and beyond, they don't really say when beyond, but in the summer and beyond, they have the Cosmic Cube, which has new Scientist Supreme Villain Sector. Confront the unchecked power of the Cosmic Cube. They also have Wasteland Patrol, new war zone mission type patrol mode, new war zones and assignments within the Wasteland region. And then the last one they have, which is really cool. This is something that is really like many people have been expecting this, and they were wondering why it wasn't with the original heroes. War for Wakanda. This is where they're adding in Black Panther, new hero, Black Panther, new hero outfits, power level cap increase, new villains including Claw, new Claw faction enemies, new story, new Wakandan jungle, is it biome, something like that, and a new outpost. Also, they have additional features, which is the Omega level threat missions. This is going to be in the spring, starting in the spring. Omega level threat missions, multiplayer mega hives, which is really cool. Post level 50 progression, outfits inspired by Marvel Comics cinematic universe. Ongoing improvements include balance tuning, gear and progression, collectible comic system, and matchmaking. All this is going to be in the new Marvel Avengers for 2021. This is the slate for 2021. So,
can I just say, except for the Wakanda one, none of that sounds like it's making the game any better. Okay, this is what bothers me.
What about Hawkeye? Have you included Hawkeye in it?
This is what bothers me, and you know this pisses me off. It's lazy programming.
Yeah.
You make a crappy game, and people did not like it. I mean, I'm sorry. It's you may have a few people who enjoyed it, but overall, this was not a game that was received well at all.
True.
And you have a crappy game, and what are you doing? Instead of fixing it, or instead of moving on and giving them something better, it's, let's give you more crap. Here's a crappy game, and we're going to add more crappy levels and more crap for you. Why? It's bad in the first place. Why do I want more of it? I mean,
personally, I think they would have done better if they would have done standalone games with each individual hero. Mm-hmm. Like a standalone game for Thor, standalone game for Hulk, like they do with Spider-Man.
Which would be great, except the problem with that is that would take actual storytelling ability. They would have to come up with actual stories for these games.
Yeah, true.
They don't have this ability, as we've seen, because
but they're also money-driven companies, so I mean, this would have made them more money if they would have done individual games.
But again, we've seen this. There's a lack of great storytelling in modern games. That's why when a game like Mass Effect comes out, like when that came out, the original Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. That was a story-driven game. Fun game to play, but a story-driven game that people were chomping at the bit to play the next installment.
True.
So they could find out how the story went.
True.
Games like that are rare nowadays. They really are. I'll throw it back to the original KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic.
Mm-hmm.
That game for the original Xbox, I mean, one of the most brilliant stories. It was like a book.
Yeah.
I remember
when
that game came out, I played almost 4 or 5 days straight because I had to find out what happened next.
Yeah.
It wasn't, I mean, the game was fun to play, but it wasn't the gameplay that kept me coming back. It was the story was so good, I had to know what happened next.
True.
And how often do we see that now in the games? It's really, really rare.
Yeah.
For me, Skyrim had a little bit of that.
I still haven't played Skyrim. Don't judge me. I still haven't played that one.
Dude, well, that's because you have so much
I know.
That you're playing.
So many freaking
and again, Skyrim, similar to Valhalla. I mean, you're investing months if you get into this game. I mean, it's all you're playing. For
right now I'm on Black Ops Cold War, and they just came out. They have a new season, for Battle Pass, and I'm still trying to complete that. And then you got Madden that also has, a new play modes, and there's just so much to play. It's all over the place. So yeah.
But you see, for me, it's all about a great story-driven game. And if you're going to do a superhero game, put a good story in there.
I mean, this story wasn't too bad. The story wasn't too bad.
I know, but from what I've heard, it was the main campaign, and it was just it was disappointing. It didn't live up to what everybody wanted. So, for me, them trying to do 6 or 7 different individual games, I don't think they'd be capable of it. I mean, they'd have to hire script writers, real script writers, not these video game guys they keep getting that write this dribble.
Hello. I'm not trying to say anything, real script writer.
No, what do you mean? But I'm not sure the video game companies right now are capable of that.
True.
There's very few companies like Kojima and stuff like that are willing to go the extra mile.
Those Metal Gear freaking, oh my God, they're epic stories.
There's not a lot of companies that are doing that kind of game anymore.
Yeah, true. That's the reason why I got so addicted to playing Metal Gear, because of the storyline. Because it had such a great storyline, and man, and it just included things from the past, not even from these, because Metal Gear started in I think it was like Sega or Nintendo or something like that.
It was one of I can't remember when it exactly started, but it was very, very early 90s.
It was pre-PlayStation, because PlayStation was the first new gaming system that was like for the future or whatever. But it was pre-PlayStation. And what's cool is that when Metal Gear came out, they included stuff from the old storyline, from the old stuff, which is really awesome. So, it's definitely, Kojima definitely did an incredible job with Metal Gear with that, but I agree with you. They need to, here's hoping that they actually create, because the one with Hawkeye does have a new story and a new mission. So we have yet to see what that story is going to be about, what continuation is going to be about. So we have to see what happens with that. We don't know. We have no idea. Toss it up in the air and see what falls. Who knows? Anyways, that's the news in case you haven't heard it. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Xander Effect. Remember, you could go ahead and watch the Xander Effect. Watch it, not just listen to it, but also watch it. Watch this, ugly mug and this ugly mug.
How did you not want to see these faces? Come on.
With these awesome hats. Well, mine is awesome. His is like whatever.
Yeah. Come on, my Trojans. Represent, baby.
UCLA
sucks.
I hate you. Anyways, make sure to watch this craziness go on.
No, that's how the chant goes?
Yeah, whatever. Make sure you watch this on YouTube. The recast for this episode on YouTube will probably happen around I'd say about maybe 6 or 7 p.m. depending on certain things here. But yeah, make sure you check out the recast on YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube page. Hit that notification button so that way as soon as it drops, you'll be able to watch us on YouTube. Make sure you check us out on all streaming platforms: Spotify, iHeartRadio.com, Apple Podcasts, and so many others. Again, want to thank our guest for today that came through today, Ali Levine. Make sure you check out her Instagram, her social media, and also her podcast as well. It's amazing. I'd like to thank this gentleman right here for joining me as always. Jeremy, thank you so much for being here with me as usual.
Absolute pleasure as always, brother, putting up with you.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Remember that we're still in a pandemic right now. We're still getting over it little by little. Things are starting to reopen little by little, but still there's many people that haven't gotten vaccinated yet. The line is really long to get there. So be courteous to them. Make sure you continue to wear your masks, wear your gloves if you got them, wear your goggles if you got them. Practice social distancing, practice general hygiene, and remember, music always heals all. We'll see you next time.
Yeah. I was ain't open that mouth. Shorty, she talking and open that mouth. If it say something, we dumping it out. Internet stuffing it out. Internet got it, it's part of this stuffing it out. Stuffing it, that's what we got it. Minute we done it, we go loud. If it say something, we open it out.
The Xander Effect is powered by 50/50 Global Music Inc., Sony Music The Orchard, and Bertelsmann. In association with Art 19 Media.